Hey, everybody. Good to see y'all. I wasn't planning on doing a live today, but a few new things have come out, so I thought we would go over them. Y'all here? Am I by myself? Where's my people at? For some reason, I can't see everybody's river. Oh, here. Hang on. I'm trying to get my comments up on screen. So a few things have happened today. There's also, oh my gosh, my dogs, y'all. Hang on. Let me see who they're fussing at. Sorry, this is kind of last minute. Let's see. All right, I'm just gonna have to pull up. I'm gonna have to pull up YouTube to be able to see the comments. Okay. I'm not sure what's up with StreamYard. Hey guys, my dogs. Hear your dogs. I know they're so loud. I think my son must have ordered DoorDash. At least he's using his own money. Cause you know, a $12 sub turns into $50. Okay, they have been banned from the studio temporarily until they can calm down. So, a few things today, and we'll just go through them. Right now, I've just got these texts or these up on screen. So, TMZ says another email has arrived from, this is Brian Ensign's tweet. TMZ says another email has arrived from the same person claiming to know who is responsible for Nancy Guthrie's kidnapping. They say he now wants $100,000 because remember, they upped that award or reward and is contacting them because he doesn't trust law enforcement. So we're going to hop over and watch this video from TMZ. They have it, they got it earlier. So they have not, they alerted authorities and then of course did their video. So we'll watch this real quick and then we'll there's a couple other things to catch up on too.
TMZ has obtained a third email from the man who claims he knows the identity and the location of Nancy Guthrie's kidnapper, and he has now upped his demand. We know it is the same person who wrote the other two notes because the Bitcoin address is identical. So he says that he is going through TMZ because he does not trust law enforcement. He's essentially saying, you don't trust me and I don't trust you. What he is suggesting is by the FBI upping the reward to $100,000, it was designed to discredit him. He says, quote, to discredit me. So what he is saying is he now wants the following. He wants one fraction of a Bitcoin worth $50,000. And for that, he says he will give up the name and location of the kidnapper. He says he will not cash that until the kidnapper is actually arrested. And then he expects the second Bitcoin fraction, another 50,000. So he wants the $100,000 reward, he says, but he wants it in this form and not simply coming forward to authorities. He has a variety of reasons on why he doesn't want to come forward to authorities, one of which is interesting. He says it's because that it could compromise his possible freedom. Now, we don't know what that means. Does that mean that he is peripherally associated with this kidnapper? He does not explain what that means, but he says it in this email. Now, there's something really important here that he says that when he gets the initial payment, and this is a quote, he will give up, quote, the name of the main individual, the main individual. So clearly he is suggesting, and he did insinuate this before, but he is saying it squarely here. The main individual, that means if this is legit, he has accomplices. So he does refer to the current state of Nancy Guthrie. We are not going to get into what that is. We have forwarded this on to the FBI. They asked for it, and we gave it to them. We received this email just before noon Pacific time, Friday, today. So again, the third email, he says this time, this is it, that it's his final time to approach anybody. The third time is it. Now, remember, he said that last time too, but he says he's coming forward now because of the increase in the ransom reward. And we will see. The authorities are looking at this, I guess, to determine if it's legitimate. We have checked this Bitcoin address, and so far, no deposit has been made.
So that's that. I mean, wait, I'm having some issues here. I'm not sure what's going on. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to post like comments on screen like I normally do. I think the thing is this. I mean, they don't trust law enforcement, but I don't know. It just seems really weird. I don't put a lot of stock into this. I mean, we've been getting these since the beginning with these letters and the ransoms, and now 2 emails saying, "I know who did this and I want Bitcoin." It almost sounds like another try by the same people to me, but who knows? They still haven't verified whether or not these ransom letters are real, so we just don't know. It's very bizarre. It's just it's like a roller coaster ride at this point, to be honest. It's exhausting, and I can't even imagine for the family, but the other thing that I wanted to talk about is apparently a media company has bought or rented the house next door to Nancy Guthrie so that they can get a shot of the backyard. That is something that's being reported on the ground. And let's look at, I believe somebody talked to the sheriff today. Of course, we've had no news conferences in over a week, but he is talking to certain outlets. So let's go. Let me see if I can find that really quick. I know I actually retweeted it. So, yeah, sorry, this is very off the fly. There was some talk of some SWAT activity that was happening, but totally unknown if it is unrelated to this case. But let me see. I've got WebEx on. We've got this new video that they want to talk to this new person. The one that was the video that was circulating around a little while ago. Yeah, yesterday, they've cleared that person from what I understand, the one that had the 2 backpacks. Now they want to talk to another suspicious man, and I'm going to pull this up just to show you. Sorry if I'm making you dizzy with this. So now there's a new man they want to talk to. You see where it's at. It's so wild, y'all. There's so much, it feels like there's so much going on and then there's really not much going on. And the sheriff's under fire today. Or I'm going to share this tab instead. This is the video of the person now that law enforcement wants to talk to. So you can see there, that is the new person that they want to talk to. I don't know, y'all. It's just crazy. I'm trying to find now. Somebody just tweeted out that the I'm gonna delete this because the sheriff, talked to somebody today in depth, it seems, and talked about the case, which that honestly should. Wait. I'm trying to follow some updates. I'm listening in one ear. People are delivering flowers. The pool cleaners came today and cleaned her pool. Just thought you guys might want to know that. Right here. Crime scene pool cleaners. It seems kind of unnecessary at this point, but we've had dogs peeing right there at the crime scene and Amazon delivery drivers coming to the door, pizza delivery. This is the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. I mean, do you guys feel this is so bizarre? I've never seen a crime scene so open to everybody. Yes, exactly, Bet. I mean, I can't put the comments on the screen. I'm not sure what is going on with my streaming software, but I'm just listening. So I'm just hearing something about staging and I'm trying to figure out where they're talking about. Tamara, anyone talk to the housekeeper? I'm sure they've talked to everybody we haven't had any confirmation, but we haven't had much confirmation about anything in a week. But I know they were DNA testing people that were in the house regularly. And then it was just said, I'm trying to find confirmation that Fox News is saying that the DNA in the house doesn't belong to Nancy, which is interesting. But let's see what we can find to share. This is all just in very real time. So let me go to. I'm not seeing anything about DNA. Let me look at another spot. And then I want to find what the sheriff has said today to a local media outlet. Do you guys think it's inappropriate that he's talking to the media but not giving up he's not giving a press conference like he should? I mean, I just think it's kind of a bad look. Yeah, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm looking at like 10 things at once, trying to figure out what the heck's going on in current time. I don't see anything other than just an unverified source saying that. So we'll see. We'll wait for official confirmation. Let's find the sheriff's interview. Here is the latest update on the potential the suspect. It's not potential. A male, 5'9" to 5'10", build is average, black, 25-liter Ozark trail hiker pack. There's lots of rumors flying around today too. It's just going to happen with a lack of information. You're going to have rumors flying around everywhere, which is why they need to be doing some press releases, officially, instead of saying we have nothing that we can share. They could have at least come on and talked about detaining that guy the other night. They could have talked about these notes that TMZ is getting. Instead, we're hearing it from Harvey Levin. Brian Enton last night, I think I talked about this yesterday, by the way. The night before last, Brian Enton had a retired investigator from Pima County on who has worked with the sheriff. And he didn't hold back. He said that the sheriff has a huge ego problem. And in a prior case where the FBI should have been called in, they were not utilized as they should have been because he wanted to handle it himself. And then last night, Brian Ented tweeted out that as of the night before last, he's being told the Pima County Sheriff's Office was not sharing critical information with the FBI. And he, in his report on NewsNation last night, he said that he had talked to investigators, and I'm assuming from Pima County, who they say they don't even know who's in charge. They have no clue who is heading this up, and that is bad. That is so bad for this investigation. And in the meantime, Nancy Guthrie's hands, her life is in the hands of these people potentially. We're 13 days in. I don't ever want to lose hope, but we're 13 days in, y'all. Let's see. Trying to find this interview. Put it on my X. Let me see if I can find it. I'm trying to listen to JLR. He's live. I highly recommend you go pull up his video and have it in the background. He's there on scene, but there's some confusion right now about maybe some SWAT or some staging somewhere, or SWAT was called out somewhere, but we don't know if it's related to this at all. So I'm just listening to the scanner. And on the scanner, JLR, I've got one in my ear. They do talk about a person of interest. It is true. It is like the broken telephone game. You don't know what to believe, but there's a lot of things I think that law enforcement could definitely clear up just by doing a couple of press conferences. All right, so I'm going to pull this up and read this right now. This is from Matt. Excuse me. This is from Matt Finn FNC. That's his handle on X. You can see it right here on the screen. Breaking. I just did a wide-ranging interview with Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos about a lot of topics. Here are some highlights. Nanos tells Fox that his office did not find a glove at Nancy's home. We have no glove. We've never found a glove on that property. Reports yesterday were they found a glove. Nano claims his office has been using the same contracted private lab for decades, long before he was in office. He says his office started sending the Guthrie evidence to this lab from the start, and that the Guthrie family DNA and other DNA swabs are there too. So it makes sense to keep sending the incoming evidence so that the lab can immediately run the new evidence against what's already in-house. Nanos claims the FBI was on board with this. He says, why split evidence between the private lab and Quantico? We trust the FBI's crime lab. I wonder why you guys aren't seeing this up on my screen. There's something funky with my... Can you guys see this? Hang on just a second. Okay, you can see it. I'm sorry. We trust the FBI's crime lab. We've used them before, but in this case, we started with that lab. It's just that simple. Nanos claims he is working together well with the FBI, claims he would have no reason not to seek their help and partnership. Absolutely crazy. And they quote that he wouldn't use their partnerships. Nanos claims he called the FBI the next working day, the Monday after Nancy went missing. He shoots down claims he was reluctant to include the FBI and says, for example, they quickly let the FBI take the lead on the ransom notes because the FBI is better at that with their technology. On the ransom notes and their legitimacy, he says the FBI is the expert on that and he can't comment. Brianna Whitney also just posted a new interview with the sheriff. On whether this is a kidnapping or something else, he says, we believe this is a kidnapping, but you always consider all possibilities. The sheriff said in a local news interview they found a few different gloves in the area, some miles away. On this topic, he told Fox that they are not necessarily prioritizing every glove. For example, they're getting calls of gloves in Phoenix, which is a long ways away. So news of every glove that's found may not be critical. And he said nobody is ever really eliminated when asked if anybody has been ruled out. Nano says the Rio Rico, Arizona man who was briefly detained the other night is a delivery person who was in the area of Nancy's house. More than one issue led sheriff to the Rio Rico man. After talking, the sheriff feels satisfied with his alibi. Nanos will not confirm to Fox if there was forced entry at Nancy's house or whether the front or back door was used. Nano says Nancy's blood was found outside her home and Nancy's DNA was recovered inside, but he can't confirm the DNA inside is blood. On the criticism that the sheriff's office released the Nancy Guthrie crime scene house too soon, opened it up too quick, he says it's not true. They got what they needed. I asked him if they should have cleaned up the blood out of sanctity, and he said it's not their role. Said it's a slap on his team to say they left too soon. He also says the deputy cars out front now are at request of the family for safety. It's not the sheriff's signaling they left too soon. On allegation family members are involved, the family has been fully 100% completely. Whatever we asked for, they've done. It was getting crazy out there with the allegations about the family. You can't accuse people of horrific crimes like that and not have any facts behind it. But in the same interview, he does say no one is really ever ruled out as of today. Nanos has talked to Savannah Guthrie. He said they've talked and texted, but she doesn't need to talk to the sheriff. He said she has people. The whole family has my number. On reports in previous incidents that suggest Nancy doesn't have a good relationship with the FBI, Nanos doesn't have a good relationship with the FBI. You Google what you Google. You read what you read. I've got no response. I've always had a good relationship with the FBI. They're a good team. They're good people. So there is something with SWAT going on. We don't know if it's related. Pull up JLR's feed. He is going to head that way now. If anything crazy happens, we'll switch over to him. They're debating whether or not they're going to go out there. So let's go to X Pro and switch over here and just look at the general feeds. Thank you so much, Woman of Steel. Welcome aboard. I can't put anything on my screen right now. StreamYard's not giving me the option. So, and then Brian Enton tweeted out, President Trump just asked why the FBI hasn't taken over the Nancy Guthrie case, and his response, they didn't want to let go of it. Let me pull up WebEx because I know Troy is SWAT is staged at a substation off of I-10. And I'm not going to say the subject's name just in case it's not related. Surveying a person of interest. Not sure if this is related to Nancy's case. It is near her home and it's at Ina and I-10. So let's pull that up on the map. Let's go on a little Google map trip. It doesn't really seem, you don't see this huge exodus from there to go wherever this is. I honestly, y'all had planned to, I had honestly planned to not even come on today. I was just tired, but it looks like this is kind of like, where are we at? I'm just pulling this up. So it's kind of near a busy intersection. I'm going to see what crossroad is here. It's Ina and I-10. But, there are probably several wanted people in Tucson, so I'm trying not to overhype this too much. So, yeah, it looks like it's kind of on a Ina and I-10. There's a Circle K here. Let me switch over to this tab. If I have it pulled up correctly, this is where this SWAT team is, but we have not heard a word about it being related to Nancy Guthrie. So I'm just showing you this to show you. It's just hard to keep up, y'all. You know, this is just one of those cases that the misinformation is so bad out there. Um, I'm going to hop over to our other screen and just look through X Pro. That's kind of the quickest way to get updates, is just having all these lined up. Nothing new from Brian Enton. So I feel like if it was potentially related to this case, it would be all over. And none of the people right there, you know, are posting about it. So let's see what happened. Okay, so Brianna White.
Have you been able to clear any of the Guthrie family members?
Well, I put it like this. Everybody, particularly the Guthrie family, but everybody has been very cooperative with us. We've done a number of interviews and investigations and taken DNA swabs from a number of different people. They've all cooperated with us. I'm going to say this real careful. They are under tremendous pressure and tremendous grief. And I think it's really irresponsible for anyone to start pointing fingers that way. They have been nothing but cooperative with us.
But I think cooperative and cleared are two different things.
I know, but the evidence will take us there if that's the case. Right now, we are working close with that family, and yeah, our hearts go out to them.
So they are not cleared as of now.
Nobody's cleared.
Nobody's cleared. Okay.
So there's that. I mean, again, I just don't understand why I can't get in front of a camera. And, you know, you almost wonder, is it that he just doesn't want to answer the tough questions? You know, to give these interviews to media stations and not to the public is, I think it's just bad taste. It's been a week. I'm just looking through my alerts here to see. I'm going to hop, let's see. We don't have a meet going on. I got Troy. I think he's listening to the scanner, so let's see if he's got any updates. But still, I don't want to get too excited about that. Lots of scrolling going on, y'all. Let's see what Troy says. He says blah, so probably not related. Yeah, so here, the sheriff is saying that there is a glove being tested, but it was like 2 miles away. So that might obviously is the one that was found on the side of the road. We haven't heard a thing about the 911 call where they talk about the masks. So, you know, it just seems like we get this little flurry where it seems like something big's going to happen, and it just turns out to be nothing. And we get these letters, and I think the biggest thing, that Troy just texted me is the DNA found in Nancy's home is not hers. So that's good to know, because then you run that into CODIS, and if not, you start the ancestry. But then again, you know, they've done swabs of family, workers, people that would be in the house. So hopefully they would have that to compare to. And then if this is a new DNA, they would be able to tell if it's a male, because we know our suspect's a male. That could lead to something, but it's still not going to be quick, you know, unless somebody calls in with a huge tip that is the biggest break we need. All of this stuff is going to take time. And we're 13 days in, and I really just don't know how much time we have left, unfortunately, for Mrs. Nancy. That is hey, Dorothy, that is, it really does seem like, you know, I said it, like a peeing contest. Sometimes you have to understand your limitations, and you have to do what's best for your victim. And for me, I support law enforcement. You know, there's bad eggs in every profession, from teachers to doctors to law enforcement. But I have a high respect for law enforcement because they get paid not a lot to risk their lives every day so we can lay our heads down peacefully. But there are some times where, you know, you do see things mishandled. And I think this is a textbook case of how things are mishandled, because you can have the sheriff saying all these things, but when you have people talking to the reporters on the ground is because they want the public to know this is a mess. They can't go out and say it themselves, but they can be a source and say, this is a mess. So you also have people in the FBI saying, this is nuts. This is crazy. I mean, literally, this is crazy, is what they're saying. So when you get people from, the sheriff's department that are investigating, and then you get FBI sources saying the same thing, it's not a smear campaign at a time like this. It's we can't do our job properly and find this woman because we're being blocked. Just looking through some feeds here, y'all. Let me see what JLR is doing. Looks like doesn't look like he's going anywhere. Yeah, Cheryl, she has a little bit of insight into Nanos and through her brother, and you hear a lot of the same things. It tends to be true. But I have a huge problem with doing media interviews and not a press conference in an official capacity. Hey Troy, let me see. Let me ask him if he wants to start a meet, because I might be able to share the screen. There are looks like, let me see if there's a helicopter up. I hear one, and it's actually supposed to be close to Nancy's. I hear a helicopter on GLR's feed. Let me see if there's a chopper up. Real time, babies. We're going in real time, but I'm not getting too excited right now. But I will say Tucson seems to have a problem with people going up to people's porches. It's like three this week that we've seen people just prowling. I'll turn this down for a second. Yeah, my plan for the night really is just to lay in my bed and play Fallout 76, because my son's home, but he worked all night, the fire department, he's snoozing, and I just need a rest. So, but we'll see. It could be a media chopper. I got Troy looking into it. We have FlightAware where we can look in real time and see what's happening. So I think he's looking right now to see what kind of chopper this is, or, could be media, could be nothing. But I do hear one on JLR's feed. But if you go over towards the Catalina foothills, I don't see anything up in the air. There are 3 near the airport, a Black Hawk, another military. It's flying at 1,900 feet. Looks like it could be landing. And then I'm going to share this tab here so you guys can see this. So this is what's going on. It looks like they maybe are looping the airport, which is interesting. Yeah, JLR had pizza delivery from a follower. Hey, look, I will tell you, my alibars have taken care of me in times of need. So I get it. Might have been good to have it delivered to the end of the street, but it's a very caring thing. So you see these 3 choppers here. If I click this here, it'll tell what kind this is. Now it's not telling where it's going right here where it says NA. But if you scroll down here, you can see this is a Black Hawk helicopter currently flying at 2,100 feet altitude. Over here, you have a Eurocopter, which is military or government, flying at around 2,200 feet. And then the one in the wide circle out there, that is another government helicopter at 2,550. So you see here, they're circling, and this place is at I-10 and Iva, we said. So let's see if they're nearby. Let me pull up because I wish you guys could. I wish there was a way Troy could hop on here with me, because he is so smart. Ina and I-10. So let's pull that back up and see in relation to this airport where they are. Anna and I-10. Let's do. Hang on, I'm gonna pull this up and show the distance between this airport and the airport and where where SWAT is staged, rather. All right. So let's get directions to, let's see the name of this airport. It's Pinal. Say airport. Yeah, so it does. So where this is about 20 miles. They're circling, so it may not be related. I'll show you the map here from the airport to about the location where SWAT's staging. So SWAT is staging around this way. As you can see, the I-10 runs, and it's on West Ina. So probably like somewhere around in here is where the SWAT is staging. But if you pull back, I mean, they're choppers. They can get there in no time. It is interesting 3 are circling, but you have to remember this is a border town. There's a lot of, there's a lot of operations happening at any given time. So that's where we're at with this. Yeah, I mean, they're just circling. Did one land? I think maybe one might have landed. So maybe they're just, waiting for air traffic to clear, but this is kind of what you do in real time. See here. Not really sure. I have the oh, goodness. The scanner in my ear. I'm just not hearing anything. And a lot of times too, SWAT will go on a private channel, so you're not going to hear what they're talking about anyway. But I just wanted to show you guys that because that is kind of what, people are talking about. But other than that, I don't see any really big updates. It's just a lot of the same old, really. Just everybody staged out, JLR staying put. Let me see if Troy's heard anything. It's probably a nothing burger. Let me see what you guys are saying. I appreciate you being a member for 4 months. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate y'all support. I love what I get to do every day, y'all, and I know I couldn't do it without you guys, so thank you. Yep, there was my yeah, thank you so much, Sharon. What it is I'm testing a new layout for my lives with Ecamm. It's kind of more professional looking where I can have different boxes on screen and it looks a little more, like I know what I'm doing when I'm streaming live, because I normally don't stream live. You guys know that. But I'm working on that. So when I had this live and then I kind of heard there might be something going on, I had it set to private because I was testing it out. This new system I'm using. And then, so why I can't put your comments up on screen is because of that. So I'm sorry, but I don't want to end this live and start another. So I'm looking at the comments on YouTube. Yeah, he's not hearing anything else about this. There goes the mail person down the road. What's crazy is you thank you so much, Bet. Alicia Kuna. Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos tells Fox National correspondent, yeah, the glove is being tested. That was Nanos would not comment on bomb squad and SWAT activity for tactical reasons, saying a lot is happening right now, adding it would be inappropriate to discuss details due to officer safety concerns. So that is from Fox True Crime, and that was just posted 17 minutes ago. That's about when we heard about the SWAT activity. So we'll stick with this for a few and see if anything comes of it. But the media, like I said, they are staying put. So, I'll start to get hopeful if I see them all run to their car. And then you're gonna have a traffic jam because there's a lot of media on that street. Troy said this probably, as far as the aircrafts, probably 2 Army choppers burning fuel. So maybe nothing, but we'll see. There comes looks like there is we'll switch over real quick to JLR. I don't want to hog his feed too much, to be honest, y'all. But I will show you guys what's happening here. It looks like he actually may have lost connectivity just as I was about to switch over to him. Nope, he's back. There we go. So it's a little pixelated, but you guys can share the screen real quick. Y'all can hear my phone going off. Okay, so this is what's happening at Nancy's, outside Nancy's right now. Go current, see what we got. And Brianna Whitney just released the full interview that is 11 minutes. So why don't we hop over to that, because nothing's happening, but I will watch JLR's feed just in case. But let's watch this 11-minute interview because it's the closest we got to a press conference, so we may as well. Let me find it. And then while we're watching this, I'm going to make a couple of calls to some people.
I'm going to ask you just a slew of different questions within the case, starting with, have you been able to clear any of the Guthrie family members?
Well, I put it like this. Everybody, particularly the Guthrie family, but everybody has been very cooperative with us. We've done a number of interviews and investigations and taken DNA swabs from a number of different people. They've all cooperated with us. And we look at what their stories are and we go, okay, the Rio Rico case, perfect example. That young man, we got a search warrant, went search his house, and he talked to us. We thought, okay, makes sense. And we left. But is he clear? Well, no, we don't know that. We don't think there was anything else to get from him at that time. But what if we end up, because all that evidence was taken and submitted for DNA, what if that DNA at that search warrant scene shows that Nancy was there? It's not clear. So the family, I'm going to say this real careful. They are under tremendous pressure and tremendous grief. And I think it's really irresponsible for anyone to start pointing fingers that way. They have been nothing but cooperative with us.
But I think cooperative and cleared are two different things.
I know, but the evidence will take us there if that's the case. Right now, we are working close with that family, and yeah, our hearts go out to them.
So they are not cleared as of now.
Nobody's cleared.
Nobody's cleared. Okay. I know there's still a lot of investigative efforts going on at Nancy Guthrie's home, at Annie Guthrie's home, and around southern Arizona. My question for Nancy Guthrie's home is, if there are continued investigative efforts, why is there no crime scene tape up?
So I don't know where that started, but let's go back to the beginning. Mm-hmm. Our team gets a call. We're looking for search and rescue efforts. Shortly around 2 o'clock, I get a call. I said, we need to turn this up. This could be a homicide, could be a kidnapping. And so we go that direction. They work it. I was out there till probably around midnight or 1 o'clock and went home. And when I'm out there, I'm not in the scene. People report that. That's not my role. I'm there to ask, what do you need? What does my team need to get? What resources can we get to accomplish? And we move on. They were out there probably till 7, 8 o'clock that morning. That's a Monday morning. I now start getting calls and I field all the media, but I realize that the national media is getting involved, and it's like I'm there on the phone in front of cameras like this from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. I can't do that all day. and still get this job done. And I think we tried to have a press conference the next morning. It was a little chaotic. I'll take that hit. But nevertheless, we held another press conference 2 days later. I think it went a lot better because we knew what you were looking for in terms of evidence and timelines. But that morning, Monday morning, because they're always saying the sheriff didn't get the FBI involved early on. The FBI was involved Monday morning. Within hours of that, we knew that, hey, we have some physical evidence here that needs to go to the lab. But we also knew we had some physical evidence here that the FBI has experts that are better at analyzing that, and we gave it to them. How do we know that? Because we've worked with the FBI for decades. I have department members assigned to that office and have for years. That relationship is critical, not just to the FBI or the Pima County Sheriff's Department, but to this community.
But why not secure the scene now? I mean, as you guys continue on, why not secure it better? I mean, we had a guy deliver pizza up at the front door.
Because we were processed the scene. We were done with the scene. The FBI, when you saw them come back, that would be a normal situation. They come in, say, hey, you know, we're looking at this electronic stuff. Can we go see the house? Absolutely. And so they go back. There's no evidence gathered there. It's like yesterday, they were there at the scene doing what? Taking measurements to see, that video we have of that individual, that's critical to us.
So are they not taking new evidence, not seizing new evidence from the home right now?
I'm sorry?
Are they not collecting new evidence right now? When you say that part's done, they're just taking measurements. Are they not taking any more evidence?
I guess we have to understand when you're speaking of evidence. Are they gathering pieces of evidence off there and taking it in? No. What they're doing is they're doing some analysis of the evidence we gathered to see what can fit. Yeah.
Okay. You know, obviously, it's no secret to you. There's been a lot of talk about tension between your department and the FBI and the controversial where the DNA is being tested, where the evidence is being tested. Can you just clarify the order here? And did the FBI want to test something at their lab, which is typically known to be the pristine lab? And did you say no?
So their lab is a great lab. We've used them before. They've solved cases. Our lab is a good lab too. We've used this lab for 40 years. So it's not like, oh, whose lab is better? They're both very capable labs. What happens is in these kinds of situations, we make a decision. We sit down at the table and talk. Investigators the sheriff doesn't make that decision. Investigators sit down and talk about it. What's the best strategy here? What happens is we had submitted our DNA to a lab for analysis. The FBI took the camera images and did that. When those camera images came back, what happens? FBI shares them with us. Right. When our lab reports come back, we share them. We now have a glove we found. Somebody found it. Not at the house. Somebody reported that. It's 2 miles away. But we're not going to disregard that. That'd be silly. So we go gather that glove and we take it. And the FBI said, well, we could send it to our lab. I said, well, why would we do that? We have a lab that has all the markers, right? You have the family members' markers. You have the landscaper, pool people, all those people, and they're at our lab. And we also have other evidence there. We had evidence from the Rio Rico search warrant scene. It's submitted there.
You did tell me last week, though, that your lab was down, and that's why you'd sent it to Phoenix. Last week, though, you did tell me at one point that the Tucson DNA testing lab was down, and that's why you sent it to Phoenix. Is that back up and running?
I don't recall ever saying the lab was down. I don't know what you're talking about.
You had said that in our interview last week, I believe on Tuesday.
Maybe I was confused with something else, but that DNA lab's never been down.
Maybe it was the rapid DNA in Tucson? You said that's why you set stuff up to Phoenix.
Yes, gotcha. Yes. The rapid DNA test is not a test that you can use in court, but it gets us quickly at a result to say, hey, we might have something here. That was down. So we went to DPS. Yes.
Is it back up and running now in Tucson?
I believe so. Yeah. I don't know. Tucson's deep. So we have a DPS office here in Tucson. TPD has it, but for whatever reason, I didn't get into those details. Their labs said our rapid DNA is down, or whatever that meant. I don't know.
Okay.
We just wanted some rapid DNA done, and so we sent it to DPS.
That makes sense. Important investigative tool to at least have on that front end.
I'm sorry. When I think of DNA at labs, I'm thinking our lab, FBI lab, those kinds of crime labs. Understand.
That makes sense. I want to ask you a little bit about the press conferences. So I know PCSD has said multiple times you will hold a press briefing if there is a significant development. We've had this surveillance video come out that was huge. We've had somebody detained and released. So what does your department consider a significant development to address the media?
You know, we discuss all of this, and it is a discussion with our team, the FBI, and talk about it. You know, if you go back to those press conferences, you'll recall who's standing next to me.
The FBI.
Oh, the FBI. They were a part of this. We still are a part of this. Nobody gets to say we're doing this or we're doing that. It is we collectively sit down. The SWAT team used at the home in Rio Rico. Who was that going to be? We talked about it. FBI had that. So ransom notes. Who should handle ransom notes? FBI, you're great at that stuff. Give it to them. But that's the kind of process. I don't think what I've spent time talking to you about was probably 10 times as long as it talked to the FBI about, hey, let's send this to your lab or my lab. It's just, that was just crazy. And that's what got me out here. I know you guys want information, and we want you to have the information. That camera, the video that you see, that individual, people say, oh, we had it for days. We held that for less than 2 hours. We got it and said, we need this out there. And so you get it, you have some work to do to put it together because it's pretty fresh. So we sent it out because we know that's vital. It's generated more leads than anything else we can imagine.
I would imagine. I mean,
last question. It was
key evidence there. Okay, I'm going to ask you one more thing then. Based on where we are now, that man was detained and then released. You said he's not clear, but he definitely is not still in custody. Are we any closer to having charges for the person who abducted Nancy Guthrie? And are we any closer to finding her?
I think we're closer. Yes, absolutely. Every lead counts. That we had, just going back a couple of days, we had 18,000 calls. FBI had 14, 15,000. That's 30 some thousand calls. I have 400 cops, feds, state, local, all over the state, people volunteering. I would be crazy to say, no, I don't want your help. That's what's crazy about this with the FBI.
So should we expect an arrest soon or charges soon?
Well, I would hope so, but I can't say that. What I would tell you is look, all 400 cops out there, everybody's working hard. The community is working hard. We want Nancy home. That's the key. Does it happen in an hour? Does it happen in a day, a week, a month, a year? I don't know, but I know this. We're not going to quit. We're never going to give up.
My very last question on that, just from based on what you said, is this still a rescue mission, or have you shifted into somewhat of a recovery mission? Where does that stand today?
Every time we go out, we're looking to rescue somebody.
And it still stands as that. You still believe that Nancy could be alive?
I believe she is. Why would I not? The family believes it. I believe it. There's nothing to indicate she's not. So I'm not going to go there.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate your time. Thank you to your department for doing this interview.
Sorry for cutting you short, but yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Bet.
Well, there you go. So no press conference, but media interviews. So I think that I'm looking, let's see here. Troy said that JLR is going to where the SWAT activity is. It looks like he might be the only one leaving, and it's going to take him 24, 25 minutes to get there. So I'm going to go to YouTube TV and see if I can pull up NewsNation. Apparently, Brian Enton's on right now. It'd be nice to sit and watch him for a second. What do you guys think? She's a great reporter. I met her. Oh, here we go.
Normally, they're more cash-related transactions.
I'm going to go back. We're going to start this from the beginning.
And the question is, the country billboards now popping up in Texas,
There we go.
California, and New Mexico. Billboards like this begging the public for anything that it might know. Charles Marino, former Homeland Security advisor, and former FBI Special Agent John Iannarelli join in a moment, but we begin tonight with our Brian Entin live for us in Tucson once again. And Brian, TMZ now reporting on this third time they've been contacted by the same person, basically waving their hands virtually at this point, saying, "Take me seriously." And the question is tonight, among the many, is whether or not it should be taken seriously.
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm going to get to that in a second, Blake, but I want to start with something that's happening right now. We know that the Pima County Sheriff's Office airplane is up in the air, and I've actually heard it flying over within the last couple of minutes. And I am told that that could be significant, not only for search and rescue, but that they use that plane for surveillance. Around the same time that the plane was launched, we know that there is a mobile command center that left the sheriff's office and that the SWAT team may also be involved. So those are just a couple of things that we are trying to track right now. We've got a ton of people here from NewsNation literally scattering around right now trying to figure out what's going on with that. So I'll keep you posted. In terms of the TMZ letter, another TMZ letter coming in, same email address as the last letter. TMZ is identifying the person as a man who claims that they know where Nancy Guthrie is, that they know the condition of Nancy Guthrie, and now asking for $100,000 total, wants one fraction of a Bitcoin worth $50,000, and then wants another $50,000, I believe, in cash. And says that they don't trust law enforcement, which is why they are going through TMZ, and claims that they will not cash the Bitcoin until the kidnapper is arrested. Whether we should believe any of this, your guess is as good as mine, but we know that all of this has been forwarded over to the FBI, Blake.
Brian, you said there's a plane in the air, SWAT potentially on the move as well, and what was the third?
And also a mobile command center that left the sheriff's office.
Okay.
So it potentially could be something developing, and we've seen this happen a couple times before. And there's obviously, they check things out, and it's nothing, but we're keeping an eye on it.
All right, Brian, stand by. I'm Charles Marino. What do you make of that? Brian Entin's reporting at this hour in Tucson, Arizona, as it's 4:04 there.
Yeah, a lot of reporting. Look, as far as the reports of friction between the FBI and the sheriff, this is where you need adults in the room. And they need to remember to keep the main thing, and that is to get Nancy Guthrie back safely and to resolve this crime and hold to account any potential suspects in this case.
But what about Charles, what Brian's just reporting on about this plane in the air, SWAT potentially on the move, and a mobile command center? Seems like there's some action.
Yeah, there's some action there. It could be some additional tips that are coming in, or some other evidence, or a possible lead regarding suspects. Look, all of this is good. I wish the plane was up the day after she went missing, but we heard for some reason that wasn't the case. So the fact that the plane is up, that you've got SWAT teams on the move, there's, unfortunately a lot to read into that.
John, add it all up for me, as you just heard Brian lay it out.
If they're deploying the mobile command post and you have SWAT teams, there's obviously something afoot. They are probably responding to leads that have occurred. Now, it may turn out to be nothing, like it was the other night with that delivery driver, but it shows they're vetting everything out and they're not taking anything for chance. And obviously, whoever this person is, he is dangerous. Hence is why the SWAT team is always deployed.
Okay, so that's part of Brian's reporting at this hour. Then we know TMZ is also reporting, Charles and John, on this third demand. I describe it as like someone virtually waving their hands saying, "Take me seriously." Here was Harvey Levin over at TMZ just moments ago, and then we'll pick it up.
When he gets the initial payment, and this is a quote, he will give up, quote, the name of the main individual, the main individual. So clearly he is suggesting, and he did insinuate this before, but he is saying it squarely here, the main individual. That means if this is legit, he has accomplices.
John, the breakdown here is basically $50,000 to give up the information. They say they won't withdraw it until there is an arrest. Then they want the next $50,000. So it seems like they're trying to work through TMZ, saying they don't trust law enforcement, but also trying to make the case, trust me, I know something. How much stock do you put in this?
None at all. I'm not buying any of this. First of all, there's $100,000 reward, and all you need to do is come forward, or you can even do it anonymously through an attorney, etc. And I'm supposed to believe somebody's promise when a woman's life is in the balance. Oh, I'm not going to take any money until after you make an arrest. Trust me. Do the right thing and come forward if you have information. Do it through a third party if necessary. But the truth of the matter is, there's criminals out there trying to take advantage of a desperate situation. It's another Nigerian scam we're just seeing live and happening right here in Tucson.
Charles, are you there?
Yeah, look, I mean, you've got to look at the evolution, right? More along the lines of an outright ransom note in the first reported correspondence that took place. Then you start to see this morph over time, raising the amount in return for Nancy Guthrie. And now you have the same email address kind of changing the narrative, saying, look, I can give you the main guy if that's who you want. So I'm not putting too much faith in this. I don't think law enforcement are. I know they're masking their internet protocol address. Law enforcement will have to figure out how to overcome that challenge to find out who they're dealing with here. But in the meantime, the investigation needs to stay focused on more of the overall finding a suspect here.
Okay, here was President Trump earlier today as well, as it relates to, he was asked a question about possible involvement with the cartels. Here he was.
Do you think the cartels are at all involved in Nancy Guthrie's case, or another nation state potentially?
You can't say that yet, it's a little bit early, but it's somebody either knew what they were doing very well or they were rank amateurs. Either way, it's not a good situation.
Brian, you know this as a reporter. The president gets asked tons of questions constantly, and he can only answer what he was asked, and that was the question, and that was the answer that he gave. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, look, he's obviously been interested in the case. He's been talking about it almost since the beginning. He made it seem last weekend like they were getting close to something, which maybe just didn't pan out, or maybe we just don't know what's going on behind the scenes. It's interesting. Earlier, he said that the sheriff's office just doesn't want to give up the case, which I thought was an interesting comment, because people have been asking why the FBI hasn't taken over. And you know, he did. I was wondering if he was going to call out the sheriff, and he didn't go that far. But he did say they don't want to give it up, which I thought was an interesting choice of words.
Charles, on that question to the president. He was asked about, do you think the cartels are involved at all? What do you make of his answer there?
Well, does it fit the MO of the cartels? Unfortunately, it does. Although normally they're more cash-related transactions, not so much cryptocurrency. But in this day and age, and based on some of the limitations in tracking, it's possible they have shifted over to this, as more and more of these occurrences, by the way, take place on the U.S. border. We just haven't heard about them as much because of the notoriety and relation to Savannah Guthrie, to be quite honest with you. But this is not uncommon along the southwest border with respect to the cartels.
Okay. And again, the investigation is active. As Brian reported, there's a plane in the air, SWAT potentially on the move. And Brian, as you said, a mobile command center is on the move, right? Or is being set up?
Yeah, the mobile command center is on the move, and we heard that the SWAT team, may be involved too. So that's what we're trying to nail down right now.
All right. Charles, John, thank you both very much. Brian Enton, of course, with you throughout the hour, as well as the news warrants out there. 411 Tucson, Arizona tonight. The Pima County Sheriff, by the way, saying today it has gotten more than 30,000 leads in the Nancy Guthrie investigation to date. Just some of what they are dealing with at this time. Of course, we'll continue to monitor the developments. Go back to live in Tucson in just a bit. 1-800-CALL-FBI if you have any information. But before then, good news on the economy, but are you feeling it?
Okay, so we're back, and I'll keep an eye on that too. I've got it pulled up on another screen, so as soon as they go back to Tucson, we'll go back over there. So one of the things that I just put in chat, and I'm not sure if you guys saw, which is somebody said they thought the ransom notes were legit. And I tend to agree, at least for now. And the reason is, let me see who that was. I think it was Harry. The only reason I tend to agree is for a couple of reasons. Number one, every single time a letter has come in, they rush to Nancy's house. I really feel like if they felt these didn't have something validating in them and they were just ramblings and had nothing that would lead them to believe they were real, you feel like they would maybe come out and say that. But the thing for me is that message with Savannah Guthrie, with her siblings, it was the last one with her siblings before she did that solo one. We got your message, we understand, and we will pay. Just speculating on my part. And then the sheriff made a comment, something about he's not aware of any communications between the Guthries and the potential kidnappers. Well, he's really not talking to the Guthries. He said that today. But there was something in that message that made me think there was something validating in a possible communication to her, just because the tone changed. It went from, and this was, really soon before the deadline was coming up for that Monday deadline, the big one. They let that first one pass. So, proof of life doesn't have to be her holding up a newspaper with the date. Any of that could be AI. For me, I almost think the more valid way to do a proof of life is say, hey, do you remember when we went on vacation here and you guys were 12 and this happened to Savannah and we all laughed, or we had this waiter, something really very specific to their memory that nobody else would know, no matter how close you are to them. It could just be something that was an inside joke. I'm going to see what, let's see here. I was looking in my chat. I'm seeing if Troy had anything to say. I'll have to ask him what he means about that one. But again, yeah, there was a statement, by the sheriff about this, about the SWAT activity. He said a lot is happening right now and said it would be inappropriate to discuss details due to officer safety concerns, which I totally get. I mean, that's understandable for sure. You got to keep those guys and gals safe out in the field doing their job. And this could be unrelated. These kidnappers or potential kidnappers are not the only people wanted in Tucson right now. So I think that's just to keep everything in perspective and not to get too hyped up or cause any unnecessary hysteria. I don't want to try to blow this up to be more than it is until we know for sure. But mobile command center and SWAT and a helicopter up in the air, it's kind of three big things right there. So we'll see. But again, totally could be unrelated. And I'm going to switch back over to NewsNation. They're at commercial, but you can see an overhead shot of Nancy Guthrie's house. Like I say, JLR is headed that way. I'm watching his feed to see when he arrives, but you can see a lot of the media is just really kind of chilling out. So, and it could be too, you don't want to go crowd the scene with a bunch of media for a SWAT standoff potentially. So I get why they're not going anywhere right now. On warrant for, yeah, I'm telling you guys, if this is like being in a washing machine. Let me listen to what Troy's trying to tell me. We'll just watch this. Troy's funny. He said he's setting up a GoFundMe to get JLR a chopper. We'll see. I mean, look, he's the one that goes out and drives all over creation. So earlier today, I saw he was under an like where a river runs, but it's kind of more flash flood prone. So most of the year it's dry. And there was like a let's switch over to JLR for a second. Let's turn his audio on and see if he's saying anything. Listen to the scanner.
Pima County's probably like, those guys are coming.
Yeah, so we've heard that SWAT and the Mobile Command Center have been deployed, but we don't know what for. We don't know if it's related or not.
Best to get there, folks. Stand by.
Yeah, and the sheriff is denying that there was a glove found in the house yesterday, so who knows?
Waiting to get there.
Not sure how.
So what does he turn, like 2 lanes and then go back to 1 lane sometimes?
Not sure how far out he is. He's just chatting. So I'm going to see if there's been any updates on the scanner, although I'm pretty sure this is probably something they're doing on a private channel for safety for sure. Let me pop back over and make sure we're not missing anything on NewsNation. No, but I have a feeling they'll be going back out here pretty soon. I'm going to watch that and see when they're back on about it. We'll definitely hop over. I didn't get a copyright strike, so I think it does fall under fair use since I'm providing commentary, which is very disorganized and choppy and crazy, but that's just how I roll. I'll read some of your comments. Feels like we're storm chasing. It really does, and you hate, you hate to make any light of this or whatever, but you think you're going to have a break, and then we've just had a couple of times where it fell flat. And all we really want is to find Nancy or get an answer one way or the other. You have to consider this family this is what, day 13? Day 13. I mean, I can't imagine, y'all. 13 days, 24/7 of not knowing where your mother is. It's just unimaginable to me, but well, I heard that somebody in the media rented the house next door so they have a shot of the backyard. That's what's being reported. Okay, Josh Ritter gave a good explanation of the glove in the house confusion. Let's see if I can find that on X. I love Josh. That's my dude right there. Such a nice guy. Very smart. Knows what he's doing. I'm really happy to see him out there on this case. And he's the kind of guy you could text right now and ask something, and it'd respond right back to you. He's always willing to help. Because y'all know I'm not an attorney, nor do I ever want to be. So if you guys followed Brendan Banfield's trial, what do you guys think about Ms. Juliana getting the maximum sentence? It actually ends up being, and I need to update this on a YouTube short, but I think she does get credit for time served. So it would be not quite 7 years she'll be incarcerated. But they didn't say anything about deportation, but I really feel that'll happen. But I'm glad she didn't let her off with the recommendation because, the judge pointed out all these different reasons why she was culpable, and she didn't agree with that settlement, which is you brought a child into a house knowing that 2 people were going to be murdered. You shot Joseph Ryan in the chest and killed him. Christina asked you to call 911. You did, and then you hung up. Just all these things. And that was my thought the entire time this trial was going on, knowing the circumstances of what had happened. It would just seem like such a, man, it would have been horrific. And I also love the fact that we heard from Joseph Ryan's mother and his aunt today. It really humanized him. He took care of his grandmother. He lived with her. I don't care what you do behind closed doors as long as it's consensual. And he thought this was consensual. So I have zero judgment for Mr. Ryan. He's a victim, just like Christina. And, he really seemed like a very caring person. He was born like 2 days before Christmas. So she said she couldn't take her tree down, and his ashes are right behind there. And, they really just told what seemed to be a very nice human being. And look, anybody that takes care of their grandma full time, major respect from me, because that's where it's at. Those are the people that raised us. And so to care for them in that season of their life is something we should want to do. It was a huge, huge year for me, the lessons I learned from her just in the small things and the conversations we had. I got to know her on a really different level than I ever did. And I knew her like the back of my hand. But yeah, so I'm glad they humanized him, and because it really felt like Christina and Joe got lost in that. Still nothing going on these feeds, guys. JLR looks to be on the interstate now, but we'll switch over here. Are we watching JLR? Oh, yeah. Sorry. I got 5 tabs open on everything and like 50 browsers open in my noggin. But I'm just kind of skimming everything to see if there's any new updates while we watch JLR. Let's turn his volume back up.
About made it. All right.
He's on the I-10. This is where this is. I-10 and IVA.
The Ina's not too far. So
West Ina Road. I think it's 5400 West Ina Road.
Continue on I-10 West for 9 miles.
Oh, he's got a ways. 9 miles. Take him a hot minute. And it's 4:32 out there.
Hopefully we don't have to go around that mountain and lose reception. Do you think reception would be good out here?
Checking 54. I know. Let me check. What's the address for the 5409? I don't want to go to the wrong. That seems pretty far. Because Ina's right here.
So what are they saying that's at Ina?
Get off on Ina just for a minute.
Just for a minute? Where am I going?
Because she said, and then we'll go to that other address, 54.
54 Ina?
50, let me check this.
Yeah, show me what direction, right or left?
Left.
Left?
So I don't see anything on
All right, we're going to Ina for a minute. We have to go on here.
nothing on NewsNation right now.
Need the light. Can't run it. Can't run it.
No, don't run it, JL.
What, is something going on over here?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. She said she was checking at 54 Ina, 5400 Ina.
Which is where?
I'm searching all around. Hold on. She's searching all around and she's seen no SWAT there.
All right, so just go that way. Straight. Go back on?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I mean, we're kind of in Marana, so.
All right, so just go back on?
Yeah.
All right, I'll go back on. Because that will save us time. I'm going to have to head across.
Yeah, there's nothing there though. Wait, let me just.
Hey, let him know right there that just say I'm gonna pull over. I'm gonna go over there.
All right, he gave you the yes.
I don't want to bump into him. Thank you.
So just looking at the Twitter feeds now, none of the people that we've been following really closely, like Brian Enton or Michael Ruiz, is reporting on this now, although we did just hear Brian Enton on NewsNation, and it could be he's waiting for his next hit to come up. They're at commercial, so we'll see. Sounds like JLR is still a little bit out, and I guess somebody is close to there and they don't see anything. So, let me pull up flight radar and see if there's anything in the air close to there. So we're on I-10. I don't see any choppers, nothing in that area. Actually, let's see what this is. Oh, that's just like a private helicopter, not anything military or police related. So I'll share this tab with you guys so you can see what I'm seeing. Let's see right here. There are some choppers around, but it's like, this is a thermal. That's a Chinook thermal. But again, it could be part of their exercises in this area of the country. It's kind of just above Maricopa, which is Phoenix is right here. Yeah, or actually it's below Phoenix, kind of near Chandler and Gilbert. So if you're familiar with the Lori Daybell trial, Chandler and Gilbert, you've heard. And then Mesa, right above that, is Travis Alexander, where he was killed. Arizona's had some crazy cases. I'll give them that. Down here in the Santan Valley, that's an Airbus. JLR's just on the highway, y'all. You can pull them up if you want to keep that feed up for you guys in a separate window. And then the thermal is actually about to fly over looks like a Indian reservation, which then leads into the Santan Mountains. Lots of choppers up in Phoenix, not surprising. This is I-60. That's not really. Look at that little flight path, though. Military or government. So look at this right here. That's near Mesa. It's been circling. Let me tell Troy. There's nothing available. So if you look here, it shows that nothing is available about this flight, but it does say military or government. Let me screenshot this and send it to Troy. I'm just waiting to see when they're coming back on NewsNation about this. So we're just working in real time, y'all. So that's actually now starting to go away from the area. We'll see. This looks like exercises, to be honest, y'all. If you look at the loops and stuff, it's, you're getting pretty far away from where Mrs. Guthrie was taken from. That's going to be, way down here. That's way up there. That looks like a exercise or something. You can see they're just circling right here. So, yeah, it could be like a traffic helicopter, Troy said. So I don't think that's really of interest. Go back down to Tucson. What is this? That's right at the border. That's probably, yeah, it's military or government. That's probably Border Patrol, I would guess. These are your big airliners coming in. I'm going to go back to Tucson. I mean, to Phoenix. So I don't see anything up in the air. Go back to X Pro. See if there's anything here. Not seeing much. JLR still driving on the interstate. I see that he's close. We'll pull that back up. Might not be able to get near there either if they can find out where they are. They might have the road. They'll have the road blocked if SWAT staging. They're not going to let people drive by. There's a risk, so it might not be that we can see anything. But yeah. So that helicopter was actually near Mesa, where my friend Jazz lives, with Missing in America Network. And it is close to rush hour. So 4:40 out there, it could be a traffic thing or exercises. I'm reading your comments, guys. Atlanta, yeah, I tell you what, I've driven in downtown Atlanta at rush hour more times than I care to. And, you may as well just bring like a little folding chair and sit out on the concrete sometimes. It is a mess. And people fly through Atlanta. It's kind of one of those where it makes me nervous to speed, but if you don't keep up, like, you'll get run over. But Atlanta's 2.5 hours from me. We go down there a good bit for concerts and stuff. If somebody good's not headed up to Greenville, which usually the people big enough will go like Atlanta, Greenville, Charlotte. If they're coming here, I won't bother. You can get better seats here. JLR is still driving, not making any exits yet. Okay, so Brian Enton, we're going to go back to NewsNation. He is in the car. Let's see what he is doing.
Brian, come on in. You're in your car. You're with your photographer. Where are you headed as you've learned that that SWAT's on the move?
Yeah, we're trying to sort out what's going on, Blake, and we got a couple of tips of locations we're going to check out. I just want to emphasize, this has happened before where they may be hearing something and they mobilize and it turns out to be nothing. So I don't want to overblow what might be happening, but we just don't know because we know that the mobile command center moved out and we know that SWAT moved out and the plane was up a little while ago and we've got somewhat of a good idea of where they may be going. So we're going to check it out, but at the same time, I mean, just honestly, it could be a false alarm. So we're going to have to see. We did also just get an update though from the Pima County Sheriff's Office on a couple of other things. The sheriff is maintaining that he has been cooperating with the FBI, that reporting is wrong. In terms of, there was reporting yesterday that a glove was found inside the house that came from FBI sources. The sheriff is saying that's not true, that they did not.
Let me
inside Nancy Guthrie's house.
Yeah, Brian, you're driving. I have this statement here. I was just given to it. So let me read it real quick as it comes from the Pima County Sheriff's Office. And this is what they say about the evidence. And I'm quoting here. They say several gloves have been located during the investigation. The closest gloves were found approximately 2 miles from the home. Reports that a glove was found inside the residence or on the property are inaccurate. All collected evidence has been submitted for laboratory analysis. And here's what I want you to pay attention to, Brian. They say DNA other than Nancy Guthrie's and those in close contact to her has been collected from the property. Investigators are working to identify who it belongs to. They go on to say we are not disclosing where that DNA was located. So that's the latest evidence, Brian, as they label it from the Pima County Sheriff's Office.
Wow, so that's a big deal because I hadn't read the full statement yet because I've been driving. Yeah. So you're saying that they located DNA that does not belong to Nancy Guthrie and does not belong to the people who are close to her and frequented the inside of the house. So it's someone else.
Yes, DNA other than Nancy Guthrie's and those in close contact to her has been collected from the property. Investigators are working to identify who it belongs to. So the suggestion there is it's not that they have DNA that isn't obviously Nancy Guthrie's or anybody who would be there in close contact for reasons that aren't nefarious is the way I read that.
Well, that is very, very, like that's a big update. I mean, that means that, and again, I'm listening and driving, but it sounds to me like it means that they have DNA of someone who they don't know who was inside that house, which could be the kidnapper. And as they continue to test that DNA and try to, I mean, we've done this with Idaho, they can go back through genealogy testing, I mean, this could really lead to something. That's a big development, Blake.
So let me keep going and let me bring in Rob Chadwick and John Iannarelli here to get some analysis here because they also say, Brian, Rob, and John, that the suspect description released by the FBI this week remains a key focus. However, investigators are not ruling out any individuals or possibilities. No suspect vehicles have been identified. They go on to say, we ask the public to continue submitting actionable tips. Rob Chadwick, John Iannarelli, jump on in with me here. Rob, what do you make of what the Pima County Sheriff's Office just put out?
Well, I think it's a tremendously positive potential development. Obviously, they'll take that new DNA They have eliminated the loved ones or the people that have are known to have been in that house, including, of course, Nancy, and then run it through CODIS, which is the Combined DNA Index System. And even if the subject or even the person that has that DNA match isn't in that necessarily, what they might be able to do, as your reporter correctly assessed, is possible genealogy match, right? Someone related to that person is likely in that database. And again, just start narrowing the scope and really closing down the perimeter on this person.
John, how quickly can they narrow it down, you think, at this point, given that that's what the investigators there have just released?
Well, once they have the DNA analyzed, it's just a matter of putting it into the system and seeing if they get any sort of hit, just like Rob said. So it's a pretty quick turnaround. It's one of the ways they've already eliminated several individuals, including the person who was stopped the other night. They were able to check against everything they have to date and eliminate that person in addition to the story he gave.
Rob, so Brian Enton's on the road because Brian, as he's reported, that SWAT is mobilized, that the mobile command center is on the move as well. And all of this sort of coming together as this new information was put out. Rob, your ex-FBI SWAT, what do you make of once you start to stack up all this information at 4:36 out in Tucson, Arizona this evening?
Well, we know that SWAT units have been deployed for quite some time there as a quick reaction force. I'm sure multiple teams are in the area in different areas just to be able to react quickly. Now, what your reporter is following now, we also have to remember there are other, criminal services going on. The Pima County Sheriff's Office has to service the rest of the community, and crime doesn't stop. So we're assuming that, whatever this deployment is might be related to the Guthrie case. But then again, there's a decent chance it's not. The other thing to keep in mind, too, is the SWAT team is very well aware that every movement they are making is under scrutiny, and they're certainly not going to lead, reporters. And again, not knocking what we're trying to do here. The media can be a tremendous help to law enforcement, but we certainly wouldn't want to tip off, someone who's holed up somewhere. So, this is not their first rodeo either. They're not going to lead them directly to a scene, I would not suspect.
Brian, how long have you been driving? When did you sort of get this information as it all seems to potentially match now together? And where are you right now?
Yeah, it's felt like something is developing over the last hour or so. And what he said is so true. I mean, this could be something unrelated, although our sense is it's not. But they could also and I've seen them do this other days, and there are multiple SWAT teams here, including an FBI hostage rescue team. They will stage in different locations, just waiting for the call, thinking that something may be happening soon. And that was also a good point. Like, when we get closer, I'd actually, we're not going to be live because I want to see what's happening first, and we don't want to jeopardize the investigation and say and if there is something happening, say exactly where we are, or even report on it in real time. So we want to be responsible about that. I mean, we're still a good 3 miles away from where we're trying to go, but we're going to be careful about that, Blake.
Brian's got lengthy reporting background in local news, as do I. Brian and I once worked at the same station way back when, and when you come up on a scene and there's a SWAT situation, you don't point the cameras there for obvious reasons. Rob, as you bring up, they say in this release from the Pima County Sheriff's Office, they say that they don't have any vehicles that they don't have any vehicles at this time. No suspect vehicles have been identified. If it does seem like they are potentially getting closer here, how is it, John, that maybe they could get from here to tracking down a vehicle? Because we often know in so many of these instances, it ends up being a license plate or a vehicle that really becomes a key factor in tracking an individual or people down.
There's a lot of ways we could have gotten here. It could be as simple as a license plate reader that picked up information that they were able to focus as part of the investigation, perhaps picking up cell tower information that identified a potential individual in a matter of looking at what vehicles they have The most logical is someone picking up the phone, calling in one of the 18,000 leads received and reporting a suspicious vehicle and a license plate. However they get there, the important thing is law enforcement is going to eventually arrive.
All right, we continue to keep our eyes Tucson, Arizona, as it's 4:40 out there. Authorities are on the move. Our Brian Enton on the move. Rob and John, stick with me. Pima County Sheriffs with pretty big announcements and developments. Our coverage continues on the other side of the break.
This.
All right. So, I mean, that could be very related or it could be a nothing burger. So just putting that out there to not cause mass hysteria. But we've been through this rodeo before when they detained the suspect. What? I didn't share the tab. My bad. JLR is I'm gonna switch over to him. So he is where SWAT is.
Coming on live.
Go give him a follow because I know
he was.
he has been the one to be on the road just nonstop. You know, bringing us to live shots for 12 to 14 hours.
So excited.
What's your name?
I've been watching you.
What's your name?
Sharon Robbins.
Hi, Sharon.
Nice to meet you.
This
my
is
husband
857.
just told my husband, I said, I have to go help him because.
Well, I don't need any help, but I'm good.
No, I mean, you read the address that was on here. You were not, you should have gotten off at Aver Valley.
Oh, I don't.
So I just live on the other side in Gladden Farms. But,
Do you,
Well,
do you see
staging
people
right here.
stage here?
okay, this is the police
But,
station.
but
right
what is
here.
that right there?
So,
Why do you think they're there? Do you ever see anybody there like that?
not really.
It seems a little
There's
odd.
a fire. There is some.
But where's the SWAT truck?
That is a little Marana Health.
Well, they might be waiting to come in. You know what I mean? When they get the final call.
But I thought, okay, well, do I have to
Keep
address
listening to this
that? What address?
scanner.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because the address that everybody was throwing in the chat, I went to maps and I looked it up and I'm like, get off at Aver Valley. But
I mean, this could be related, or
This could be related.
is that
the
where
address?
is that where we're at?
No. This is over on, you should have gotten off at Aver Valley Road.
Yeah.
It's on, it's
That
called
was-
Desert Bloom is the community.
That
You know
was the
where that
next
is?
address that we were going. No, that was the next address that but we did have someone that was going to them. I don't know if she did.
Well, I
go
just
to
saw
the
everyone
loop
putting
one.
this address in the chat, and I was watching you come towards my, and then I'm like, get off, and you just kept going. So I'm like,
Well,
oh
I
my
think
God.
this could be connected, but
We need to find out for sure. Is the scanner still up?
because that is a health center right there. And
Well, why would the
if
police
they-
be at the health center?
And they do have a fire truck there.
Well, they're a
They're
staging
working
ground.
on, oh, they're staging.
It's a
You
staging
think? What do
ground.
they see?
See, you see a
How
group
about
of
this?
guys
Do me a
right there?
favor. Go over there and sleuth.
Okay, look, there, you see a group of them all.
Yeah, there's a
standing.
group of them.
Yeah, they're waiting for the call. That's what
Huh?
it is.
Thank you.
They're waiting for the call.
Hey, take a picture. All right, we're gonna go.
They're waiting on a warrant. That's what it is. That makes
They're
sense.
waiting on a warrant.
That's a good point.
Since this is such a big operation, they're going to have every single agency, and if it's in Marana,
You can hear a chopper up on the feed if you turn your volume up.
why am I listening? The hell?
So we'll just we'll wait here and see what happens. I guess I'll play my game later, which is good
Dude, there's like lots of law enforcement over there.
because I'd have laid there and probably just like dozed off.
You see them? They're dressed in like black. There's a group up over there.
The men in black.
See?
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. This is odd.
This is odd, man.
I mean, why would they be just in?
Is this? Do you think this is connected to the scanner?
I think if it is in a Marana address, it could be. I mean, why would they be all out here
Here, I
waiting?
took this picture. I took this picture right here.
Yeah, Cheryl, I hear you. I play Fallout 76, and I haven't played since this started either. My character's like, "Where are you, girl?" It's one of the few things for me that keeps my mind like
I
occupied.
got shielded up like it was a SWAT operation.
So when I'm playing the game, I can't think about anything but the game, and it's a nice break from reality. Plus, I love kicking like mutant booty. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna check out.
That car's over there just parked. Is that a bus station?
Let's see what they're saying over here.
Sheriff's Office, the DNA other than Nancy Guthrie's and those in close contact to her has been collected from the property. Investigators are working to identify who it belongs to. The significance, as you see it, as 4:45 out there in Arizona this evening, Jesse.
Look, that's encouraging, right? If you can compare that with trying to get a suspect.
I'm going to pause this real quick. I just want to let you guys know for the moment, I don't think I'm going to go back to JLR. Props for what he's doing, but also I realize this could be very sensitive. So if you want to follow along, go to his channel, but I certainly don't want to put any potential location out there. So I'm going to stick to this right now. But I do have him up on the screen privately, so I encourage you to do the same if that's what you want to do.
From the person in the footage with whether or not any forensic material can be obtained from the gloves. Now they're saying there was gloves versus I also believe that they're probably looking at purchase history of anybody who bought that backpack in the area. This is how you build a case. I wish this was day 2. I wish this was day 3. Investigations take time, but in cases of kidnappings, time is not on your side. So while I'm encouraged by this and they seem to know more than they're letting on, I am a little concerned at this late hour what we're seeing.
Several gloves, Jesse, they also say have been located during the investigation. Of course, we know from that front door video footage that the main suspect who the FBI is describing him as a suspect at this point, had those gloves on. The closest gloves were found approximately 2 miles from the home. What do you make of them finding what they describe as the closest gloves, plural? It seems like maybe even there could have been multiple scenes there possibly?
So let's be clear about something. As we've seen during the course of this case, this could be nothing. I mean, we had somebody who was detained earlier in the week, turned out to be nothing. Now, if this is something, this definitely tells us a key point about the suspect. We have been talking, if you look at the surveillance footage and him taking the foliage and actually trying to obscure the camera, looks sloppy, looks unsophisticated. So if you're dropping gloves where potentially they could be found, was he in a rush? Was this person inexperienced? It's telling us something, and I'll be very curious to see what they get back from it. But I have to also say they're finding it when it's been baking in the hot sun. Is it been contaminated? Can they find the evidence that they need from it? Again, a real question at this hour.
Brian, as people are getting home on a Friday night or perhaps turning on the television for the first time, can you take them through, Brian, what your last hour or what your last probably about 50 minutes has been like? Because when you came on air with us at 6 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock out there in Arizona, you had a sense something was on the move, and right now you're quite literally on the move.
Yeah, so we knew that the sheriff's office plane went up. We knew that the mobile command center was on the move and that the SWAT team was on the move. So we're trying to just kind of track down what's happening right now. We got a couple possible locations that we're checking out. But, you know, it could be that they're staging, which is kind of what my gut is telling me, that they're leaving the sheriff's office and they're going to stage in a location to be ready if something comes in tonight that they have to respond to. That's what we saw them do the other night. Remember when they went and detained the man in Rio Rico, which ended up being nothing. It was the same kind of a situation. So that's kind of where we're at right now, and we're just trying to figure out kind of what's actually happening. Because just because we know that they're moving doesn't, you know, we don't know much more than that at this point. We believe it's connected to the case, but we're not positive.
Rob, is Brian's gut onto something there?
Yeah, no doubt. If any time a SWAT team deploys, unless it's just an absolute, you know, life and death emergency, they're going to stage somewhere. They're going to obviously develop what they call a hasty assault plan in case things change and there's a threat to life that has to be resolved immediately. But then they're going to very carefully develop a plan, a deliberate assault plan if needed, preferably a surround and call out where people, you know, a hostage negotiator would come in, bring all the resources available. Of course, you know, we know that there are multiple SWAT teams in the region, but they're very rarely going to roll directly to the scene and deploy. And again, unless there's just an absolute emergency, they'll go stage someplace and develop a plan.
John, where do you think the investigation is right now? Live look, Nancy Guthrie's home, but law enforcement on the move.
Well, let's assume for a moment that the SWAT team is going to be doing something germane to this case. I think we're going to have some major developments within the next couple of hours. But barring that, we're still doing everything that should be done in the context of answering the leads that the FBI is receiving and local law enforcement as well, tracking down those leads to hopefully come up with the evidence that's going to be able to bring a resolution to this case. The one question I would ask is, if they found these gloves and have tested them and there's potential DNA, is it a match to anything that they found in the home that they've yet to be able to identify?
All right, here's what we're going to do. Quick commercial break. John Iannarelli, Rob Chadwick, thank you. Brian Enton, stand with me. Jesse Weber, can you hang around for a few minutes as our coverage, thank you, continues here on NewsNation. We're back on the other side.
All right, guys. So while we're waiting, why don't we pull up the scanner? Now, maybe we shouldn't. But, you know, it seems like now a lot of people are saying this could be a very huge development in the case. Let's hope it is, because, y'all, we need a break. I'm going to just look here on X. You guys can look with me and see what they're saying. Let's refresh to make sure we got the current feed. Thanks for being here, everybody. It's Friday night. Y'all could be out partying. Y'all hanging with me. I'm looking at JLR's feed. He is driving. You know, somebody had I think it was on JLR's feed, you know, had a good point. They could be waiting on a warrant. Let's see here. We'll pop over here. Let's see. Oh, that's just the guy that wrote the fake ransom note. I guess he was in court. Just checking my WebEx to see if they're finding anything. JLR still driving. Not sure where he's going. So I don't see anything really new right now. I'm just hesitant to put up the radio just because, you know. I've had some people telling me some things in private message, but it's not confirmed. So we'll hold off on that. Let's see here. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really, really huge development that we have DNA from somebody other than Nancy or those close to her or who may have been in her house. That is maybe the biggest piece of news we've had since she went missing. Because it's TikTok now. A lot of times when you find, I mean, DNA is what gets you every time. Let's hope that this comes back with a hit, you know, and I guess we're going to find out real soon. Is this new development with SWAT deploying connected? We don't know. But it does seem, you know, a little bit. Okay, we're going to go back to NewsNation. Just trying to keep up with the latest.
tonight.
Okay. Sorry, y'all.
Americans.
Berna.
Main focus right
We're
now.
gonna
Brian
start
Ensign
back.
and Jesse Weber, as the Pima County Sheriff's Office has released new information, and the SWAT team is on the move. A mobile command center has been set up, and a plane is in the air. Obviously, Jesse and Brian, the main focus right now, above anything else, is trying to find Nancy Guthrie and to bring her back home safely. The resolution that everyone wants to see. With law enforcement right now on the move, Jesse, there was a real question late last night into early today about who was being able to essentially play nicely with who on the investigative front, and that leads into this scene tonight.
Yeah, and let's be clear about something. You laid it out very well. You have a family who's dealing with tremendous heartbreak right now, and they're trying to navigate this situation and get answers. The last thing that they want is confusion about who's leading this investigation. And let me tell you this, from a legal point of view, the idea that any evidence might be contaminated or there be a chain of custody issue, that there's an arrest and it's not a successful prosecution. So it's important today, and I hope this is the truth, for the Sheriff's Department to come out and say, yeah, we're working actually jointly with the FBI. There's no tension. This idea that we're keeping evidence away from them, not true. We're just sending it to the same out-of-state lab that we have. It's a matter of consistency. The FBI signed off on this. I hope that is true for the sake of this investigation, and I hope that is true for the sake of the Guthrie family right now.
Brian, a lot of this was your reporting. What's your sense tonight?
Yeah, just an update. You know, we've stopped because it does appear that SWAT is staging, and we're just going to kind of stay back. I don't want to say where we are.
Nope.
You know, I don't see anything imminent happening right now, and it's not at a person's house or anything like that. I think they're just getting ready, you know, just like maybe the other night when there may be something that happens. They need to be ready to go. So we've stopped. We don't obviously want to like interfere or anything like that. But back to what Jesse was talking about, you know, it's interesting that there's been this divide between the FBI and the sheriff's office, and we still don't really know like necessarily who to believe, I guess, because we've got FBI sources saying they're not getting information they need, they're not getting evidence they want, and then the sheriff now is just completely denying it.
Jesse, as we stand here tonight at 4:57 there in Arizona, the developments from the Pima County Sheriff's Office is that DNA other than Nancy Guthrie's and those in close contact with her has been collected from the property. Investigators are working to identify who it belongs to. They also say that no suspect vehicles have been identified and that several gloves have been located during the investigation. Your sense tonight is this investigation stands where?
They're getting closer. I just don't know how much closer. I mean, they haven't even indicated that they're going to be ruling anybody out. They seem to be really relying on the public's help right now. And this is, by the way, something that Savannah had asked earlier in the week. So now they're asking again for anybody to look at their footage from all the way back in January. Any suspicious person, any suspicious vehicle. We still don't know entirely why, but they have some sort of theory developing. They have some sort of idea of what they might be looking for. And I hope, again, this is very clear in any kind of investigation, they're not going to share everything with the media. They're not going to share everything with the public. So I hope there is more happening behind the scenes and they're getting closer. But with all of the twists and the turns and the 180s of this case, including from this last week, it's hard to have full faith and confidence in what we're seeing.
Brian, to you as well.
Yeah, I think we just have to wait. I mean, like what Jesse said. I mean, I think the latest development that there is DNA inside the house that is not Nancy Guthrie's and is not anyone close to her is really big. I think, I mean, that we've seen some big moments so far when the surveillance video was released, for example, but I think this is another one of those really, really big moments because this could really lead to something.
Brian Ensign will be on air here on NewsNation all evening long. Jesse Weber, we'll see you live tonight, later, 11 o'clock Eastern, Jesse Weber live. Our coverage continues here on NewsNation throughout the evening. I thank you for being with us. I'm Blake Berman. I hand it over to Elizabeth Vargas, who takes it from here.
So it looks like she's going to go right into this story as well. So I think we'll just stick here and see what developments are happening. We are behind about 10 minutes or so. But we'll just talk. If anything pops up, I'll let you know. JLR is
All right,
frozen,
good
by the
evening,
way.
everyone. I'm Elizabeth Vargas, and we are following this breaking news that is happening right now in Arizona. The Pima County Sheriff's Office has activated its SWAT team and mobile command unit. This all comes as the desperate search for Nancy Guthrie is closing in on 2 weeks. And in that time, police still have no sign of the 84-year-old grandmother as scrutiny grows over the investigation. Just moments ago, I spoke with Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos. He strongly pushed back on reports that he's withholding key DNA evidence from the FBI. The sheriff also confirming to me that there is DNA that has been found at Nancy's house that does not match anyone in the family or in her close circle of friends and acquaintances. He also discussed new video police now have, several gloves that investigators have recovered, and whether anyone has been ruled out as a suspect. We'll bring you that interview in just a moment. Remember, Nancy Guthrie's family reported her missing 12 days ago at around noon on February 1st. Investigators got their first major break in the case just 3 days ago when the FBI recovered surveillance video from Nancy Guthrie's front door camera. And just last night, before our show went to air, the FBI released identifying details about that masked suspect. He's a man, average build, they say, around 5'9", 5'10", and he's also wearing a 25-liter Ozark hiking trail backpack in that video. This afternoon, TMZ reported it received yet another email from a man claiming to know who the kidnapper is. He reached out again after the FBI doubled its reward to $100,000 late yesterday. This man who's emailing TMZ initially wanted 1 Bitcoin for his information, worth about $68,000. Now he's asking for more. 2 payments, $50,000 in Bitcoin now and $50,000 when the kidnappers. But there's also big news about DNA, unknown DNA that was.
We put that
All right,
video
we're live
out
now,
in
y'all.
less than a couple hours. We had almost another 5,000
An
leads.
opening
We're
and
probably close
general
to 40,
topic.
50,000
You
today.
know what's up.
But we want those leads. We need those leads. We need people to keep calling us and sending us things, and because that's what's going to solve this case.
Presumably, you've run that DNA against CODIS, which is the database for people who've been convicted of crimes and did not find a match.
I don't know where they're at, but correct. We have no match. I don't know how. There's a lot of work to do with DNA and splitting it and mixtures and different things, way above my grade. I just allow my team. They deal with this stuff all the time. They're the experts, the FBI as well, and we let them come to us and tell us what it is they need, and we help them with that.
Did you find this DNA inside the house or outside the house?
I can't go there. I'm sorry.
But it was near the house. I mean, it wasn't, at some random place 2 miles away.
It was, well, the DNA we worked with was the DNA from that house the morning we went out and processed that crime scene.
You, obviously, this door cam video was a huge, significant breakthrough for you. Are you also working on retrieving video from the Nest cameras that were inside Nancy Guthrie's home or perhaps in other places on her property?
Yeah, I won't say where they were located, but I will say this. Yes, we have several cameras that we took and gave. That's part of the story was the sheriff's holding back from the FBI or block. That's furthest from the truth. I don't know where that comes from. We came in that morning on Sunday or Monday morning, I guess it is now, took our evidence. My team says we're going to send ours to the lab. It's a lab we use. They're in Florida now, but I think years ago they may have been in Arizona. I don't know. They put in a bid every year or every couple of years, and they win it. They're a good lab. They've done great work for us, solved cases before. FBI has a great lab. They've solved some cases for us. That wasn't the issue here. The issue was we submitted our evidence from that crime scene to there. We also had some hard evidence, what I consider hard, physical cameras, phones, computers, things like that. And we knew the FBI has the best resources for those items to be analyzed. And that morning, people say, oh, you waited too long to call. We called them that morning, 8 o'clock. They immediately said, Sheriff, whatever you need. And they were attached to it. In fact, you just have to look at the press conferences that day, or I think it was Tuesday, the day after. who's standing behind me? The FBI.
Right.
The next press conference, FBI. So we have a relationship here with the FBI that is not just vital to the FBI. It's not just vital to my department. It is vital to this community. And that relationship has lasted for 30, 40 years, as far as I know. We've always sent people to work in their building with their agents. They've had people at our place to work with us. To suggest that this sheriff would tell the FBI no on anything, that's crazy.
So these reports that we have gotten that the FBI is frustrated that they feel you're not cooperating are completely false.
I agree, they're completely false. At this local level, I don't know what's going on in Washington. I respect Washington because they have a job to do too. That's my team's, my FBI team here locally. That's their boss, and they have right to make decisions as bosses. I have bosses too. That's my community. And so we sit down with their local leadership here, the SAC and the ASAC from Phoenix and Tucson, and we talk about these things. I've spent more time talking to you, probably 10 times more, than talking to the SACs about this DNA going to their lab or our lab. It was nothing more than simply a matter of, I have a lab that has all of our evidence. They have our markers for the family and people we want, maybe it's the landscaper or the pool guy, all of those there. Why would I send, and then we had another crime scene up at a scene we did a search warrant on. All that stuff went to our labs. And so when they bought me the glove that was found some 2 miles away, they said, we'll send it to our lab. I said, well, why do that? Let's just keep it all in one place.
Keep it all in one place. Okay, we should say for our audience that the SAC is the special agent in charge at the FBI. Getting back to the other Nest cameras, when do you think we might see how, I mean, I know this is an arduous process. Google helped out with the doorbell cam. When might we see the video from the other cameras?
You know, we looked at it and said, you know, the FBI, you guys take this on. Just like the ransom notes, they're great at that. They handle it. They deal with it. They got some of it back. What you saw, that one video, that's key. That front door video was so key to us. We're hopeful that the other cameras can be done the same with, but we have not heard. We know they were submitted, I think, to Google, and Google said, we'll try our best, but we've not heard back.
A neighbor, you put out an alert yesterday asking people to recheck all their security cameras, even their car cameras, because Teslas, for example, have recordings. You asked everybody to check from January 1st until February 2nd, which is a massive time frame. There has been video that has emerged from January 23rd, and this is from a home about 6 miles from Nancy Guthrie's home. It shows a man on the front step at about 5 a.m. Are you investigating this? And do you know whether it's related? So
we have, like you suggest, a lot of video to go through. And this is one of them that we were alerted to, and we're looking at it. I allow the team, my team, the FBI team, those men and women who do the work, they take this as, it is nothing more than a lead, just like other leads. And they're taking it and they'll do everything they can to work with it and see, does it tie into ours? Right now, the belief is not really, but we're not dismissing it. We're still looking into it.
And you also asked for a specific date. I believe it was January 11th for neighbors to search. Why that date?
Well, you know, I'm not real sure about all that with dates. I know we think of a search pattern. We come in, we fly over, we have ground troops, we do a search pattern. We come back the next day and we look at it, did we miss anything? And we kind of go over it again. And once we feel good about that, we expand that search pattern. The same with dates, timeframes. Did we limit ourselves when we said, we want to know what happened between the 1st of February and the 2nd of February, or the 31st of January and the 1st of February? Maybe, but we know that there's more info out there, so we're expanding it. Is January 11th a specific date with specific ties to it? I don't know that. I allow my team to work, and they trust me. They do tremendous work, and we support this.
Are you still treating this case as a kidnapping, or are you also treating this as a possible homicide?
So yes, it's definitely a kidnapping. As for a homicide, we are working under the belief that she's still out there somewhere. The family believes that. I believe that. Why would we think otherwise? There's people say, well, there's no proof of life. Well, there's no proof of death either. Sometimes hope is all we've got. I've got a team of 400 officers out there from the state, the feds, the locals. They're working hard, not just for 8 to, they're 24/7.
Yeah.
And they're out there right now as we speak. And they need to have that hope too. And they do.
In cases like this, it is standard protocol. Investigators first start with the small circle of immediate family and very close friends and eliminate them and then work their way out. Have you completely eliminated any member of the Guthrie family?
I will say this. I don't believe you eliminate anybody ever, because take the gentleman in Rio Rico where we went and did a search warrant.
Right.
We talked to him. We felt comfortable with what he said. We checked into his story and we felt like, okay, maybe there's not, but you don't know that, because what if the stuff we sent to the lab comes back and says, hey, you have Nancy's DNA here. So you can't really ever eliminate anybody. What we do is we chase that lead down to an end and go, is this it? Are we satisfied? As for the family, and this is really key to me, and the media and those on social media need to understand this. You don't know the harm you do when you accuse somebody of something without any facts. And this family is suffering. They are grieving. And they have done nothing but cooperate with us all the way, every step of the way. My heart goes out to them. Have they been eliminated? Like I say, nobody's ever eliminated until we find who we're looking for. That video, someone knows who that is. That's who we need. We need somebody to tell us this is who this man is.
And very quickly, you brought up the glove that was found about 2 miles away. Do you think that glove was dropped by whoever took Nancy Guthrie?
You know, well, every piece of evidence, just like every clue, is vital. And I would never tell my community, oh, don't bother us with that. Don't bother. But that glove was 2 miles away. So we prioritize it. We look at it. We'd be crazy not to go and pick that up and look at it. But since then, we've had reports of gloves being found 5, 10 miles away. We still go out there and grab those, and we look into it, and we prioritize it and prepare it for processing of evidence.
But you haven't discovered whether or not Nancy Guthrie's DNA was on that glove?
The glove was sent for DNA, and that's all I know right now.
You're still waiting. I'm sure if her DNA was on that, Sheriff, you would have been the first person to get that phone call.
I would hope so.
Do you have any doubt you're going to solve this case? Do you have any doubt we're ever going to know what happened?
No, I have complete trust in my team. This is a team of young men and women, and now we have several teams of young men and women who do this every day. I would put their work up against anybody. Their homicide rate solvency is probably closest to 100% of any city this size. Hey, we're going to solve this. We're going to find this person, and we're going to find Nancy.
Sheriff Chris Nanos, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Bill.
All right, coming up, we are continuing to follow our top story. We'll have a panel of law enforcement experts.
All right, so I'm going to keep this on in the background. JLR looks to be camped out in a neighborhood somewhere, and I'm trying to see if any of our people have updated on X. I don't see anything really by anybody. Let me see what nothing in my chat on WebEx. Oh, thank you very much, Tanika. I appreciate that more than you know. I can't put your thing up on the screen because my streaming software is messed up, but everybody give Tanika a thumbs up. So yeah, it's I don't see a whole lot. Yeah, Nancy's family, I mean, real happy. Can you imagine, even like right now, you get your hopes up, something's about to break, just like the other night. when we saw that man detained. And it was like, okay, this has to be it, you know? And then it wasn't, as far as we know. I mean, he says nobody's been ruled out, but I'm just saying that it's got to be such an emotional roller coaster for the family. I just want to say thanks to everybody for being here. I appreciate y'all. We got over 1,200 in here. Just a quick reminder of how I roll. We don't name suspects in here until law enforcement does, because it can be so harmful to innocent people if it's not them. Just like the other night when that guy was detained, there are pictures of 50 different guys named Carlos online with a lot of really incriminating comments, and that doesn't go away. So I don't want to be the source for anybody having difficulties in their life when they've done nothing. There's other places that allow that kind of chat, and I'm cool if that's what you want to do. The other thing, we really don't do politics here. Don't bring the Epstein, conspiracy theory stuff in here. This is about a missing elderly woman. I don't care who her daughter is. We're all just hoping that we finally get some resolution in this case. It's been 13 days. So thank y'all for understanding. No offense if you feel like you need to bounce to go, speak your mind somewhere else. I'm cool with that. We just try to keep it focused here on what's going on. And, I remember watching the documentary about the girl who ended up in the water tower, like on the top of that hotel, and a guy, simply because of his appearance, was widely circulated as the perp. And he was interviewed on that, and it was just because he looked metal and, dressed kind of goth. And so, of course, visually people thought, well, it's got to be him. And it wasn't him. And it was so sad because he was crying in that documentary talking about how, like, I would never hurt anybody, but this has ruined my life. When you Google my name, the first thing that comes up is these accusations. And so I'm sensitive to that. And look, I mean, these poor Carlos dudes, that their pictures online, they were just chilling at home, not knowing the internet's accusing them of a kidnapping. So that's kind of why I like to really just be respectful and not spread stuff. Because there are a lot of innocent people implicated so far and no suspect. So that's just kind of what, where I like to hotel. Yeah, that was it. Thank you, Ruth Ann. Yeah, we just got to keep it fact-based. It's, I don't care about being first with a name. I just want to make sure it's the right name. I'm not going to do something for clicks to say, oh, breaking news, I have some scoop, come follow me. It's, when there's a suspect, it's law enforcement's right to name them, because these investigators, regardless of any whatever's happening within these two agencies and whether there's a battle or not, the investigators, their heart's in the right place and they're working hard. So I think it's their right to announce the arrest or the name of a suspect. So, because I'm just sitting here on my fanny. I'm not out there losing sleep at night trying to find this woman. Let's see. I'm just reading. Thank you, Tanika. Yeah, real happy. I mean, it's every case where the suspect hasn't been detained, there's so much speculation. And I mean, that's human. You just don't put it out there. All right, we're going back to Elizabeth Vargas. She is live.
On the search for Nancy Guthrie, the 84-year-old mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie. She's been missing since February 1st. At this moment, the Pima County SWAT team is on the move. We don't know what they're going to do tonight, if they're staging for another raid as they did 3 nights ago, or if there is an arrest of anybody imminent. We will find out as we wait. Our own Brian Enton is on the scene with those SWAT team members. And moments ago, I spoke with Sheriff Chris Nanos, who told me that DNA testing is underway on samples of DNA that were found at Nancy Guthrie's home. This DNA that was found is unknown. It does not belong to Nancy. It does not belong to anyone in the Guthrie family, not to Savannah, not her sister, nobody. Not the son, the daughter, the sons-in-law, nobody. Also, the sheriff said that investigators are trying to get video from other surveillance cameras, Nest home security cameras that were at Nancy Guthrie's home. Remember, the biggest break in this case came just 3 days ago when the FBI managed to get that doorbell cam video with the help of Google retrieved from the software in that system. Let's get analysis on all of this from our panel. Kurt Dabb is a retired homicide detective with with the Pima County Sheriff's Department. Jeffrey Halstead is a retired police chief for Fort Worth, Texas, and a former commander of Phoenix Police. And Matt Murphy is a former senior deputy district attorney for Orange County, California. Great to have all of you here. Detective, I'm going to start with you because you used to work with Sheriff Nanos. What did you make of the interview I had with him just now?
Well, I thought it was probably one of his better interviews that he has given since this whole incident started. Yeah, I was pleased with it. I liked his explanation of using our DNA lab, DLI in Deerfield Beach, Florida. It's a lab that we've used for many years. I've had great success. I got DNA off of a fired shell casing from them once, so I have the utmost confidence in their abilities.
And his
so,
explanation, his explanation is that we started by sending DNA to this lab, and the reason we didn't send the glove to Quantico and the FBI lab is because we already had all the DNA from the beginnings of this case at this Florida lab.
Yes, and that makes perfect sense to me.
Chief, what does that make sense to you as well?
Yeah, I agree with Kurt. I think it does make sense because you got to remember in the onset, it was Pima County 100%. And then as it became very complicated, then the FBI brings in the support with the assets, the resources, and the expertise. So that would make sense when it looks like at first, remember when this first started, it was a missing person investigation. So it would make sense that it would stay relative to the local law enforcement. Then it does start expanding and become extremely complex. That's when the FBI comes in. So that does make sense.
Matt, you spent many, many years prosecuting homicides, and you were on the scene of each of those homicides at the crime scene. Your jurisdiction is one of the few that does that. What do you make of the fact that DNA was found at Nancy Guthrie's home that doesn't match any member of her family? It isn't her own DNA, and it doesn't match anybody who worked and had access to the home. Does that sound like a big deal?
What we didn't learn is what kind of DNA it is. And I know that the two gentlemen on the panel with me have probably seen that a million times. Any crime lab analyst, any forensic scientist, they have an expression, Elizabeth, it's a dirty world. And if you test enough things, you're going to get DNA from all kinds of different sources. If this is sperm fraction DNA, that's huge, right? That's huge. But if this is touch DNA on a
touch DNA.
Yeah, look, I had and I know the two gentlemen on here with me have probably had this experience too. I had a murder once, horrific murder, break-in, where we had a fingerprint to a convicted felon, and we thought we were off to the races. Turns out the guy worked in the refrigerator factory in Tennessee, and he'd never been to California. So that's a fingerprint. DNA, even more so. He specifically used the word mixture, and I know that caught the attention of these gentlemen as well. That means that when you're talking about mixtures, you're talking about mixed DNA. Now that can be victim and perpetrator, like you can have DNA with a sperm fraction that mixes with the victim.
Right.
But you can have, I've done triple mixture homicide cases before. So it doesn't mean anything given the information he gave us. And by the way, it's one thing if you say, I can't comment on that because we have pending investigation. It's another thing to say, I don't know if her DNA was on the glove. I'm sorry, but he answers a lot of questions this way. I don't know this guy. I want to be fair. I've been in front of those cameras before and it's hard.
Yeah.
But come on, dude, either he should know the answer to that and it should be either yes, or I can't tell you, or no.
Or we're still waiting to find out, which I think was my understanding of what he was telling me.
Elizabeth, you can get DNA within 24 hours. And by the way, no shade on that lab in Florida at all. The FBI can turn DNA around in 12 hours, and I've seen it.
Okay.
So,
all right.
All
right. Stand by, all three of you. We're going to take a quick break. We have plenty more to get to when we come back. Or we're still waiting to.
All right. So that's the latest. I'm monitoring all the X feeds. Not much coming up right now. Brian Enton just, he's been on the road. So he put out 52 minutes ago that the DNA other than Nancy Guthrie's and those in close contact to her has been collected. And you just heard they can get some of these results back in 12 hours. If they got that yesterday and ran like a really quick test on it, is that maybe what we're hearing about SWAT? It could be, but then again, it might not. I think it's equally likely it's not. It is or it isn't. We don't know, but we hope so. So I don't see anything. I just saw something I don't want to see. Yeah, so and then let's see. I'm looking on the flight app. I don't really see anything flying in the area right now. Somebody did post SWAT left and was heading, out. But I don't see anybody else reporting on that. We know they were staging, but JLR is just sitting in a neighborhood. I'm watching his feed as well. So it's just kind of a fluid situation here. There's not a whole lot we can really look at until they come back. So, hey, COE, what's up, girl? Good to see you. Thanks. Thank you, COE. Yeah. Hey, Blue Bear, have a good evening. Appreciate you hanging out. Yeah, so it's 50-50 right now. But I think the biggest news of today is at least the DNA that's not hers or anybody associated with her or that was at least close to her. And we don't know what kind of DNA. Did they say touch DNA? Or was that just a theory? Any thoughts on the Murdaugh appeal? I think he has the best chance yet to get a new trial, but that will not happen for years. So, a lot of people do think it's very likely he'll get a new trial. And I heard somebody say, why wouldn't he just plead guilty? Well, because in like the 0.5% chance he were to go to trial and be acquitted, which I don't think would happen, he would only have financial crimes against him and not violent. So he would go to a club fed. So that's what he wants, to play pickleball with his buddies at 5 p.m. as opposed to, eating some nasty cornbread and mystery meat from the chow hall at the prison. But yeah, it would be a very long time. This case is crazy. I know. It is like being in a washing machine, just being like thrown around. COE and Joel are awesome. Love those guys so much. Laurie, interviewed his lawyer. It was a great watch. Cool. Thanks, Carmen. I'll go check that out. I love Laurie, he's great. He really explains things to me like I'm 3. Hi, Liz Sharp. I always feel like I'm going to butcher some of y'all's names. The JLR's just sitting there. I don't see any current updates from Brian Enton. So he may be just watching things, but we will go back because he is popping in on these NewsNation shows and giving us some updates, at least of what he's hearing. Seeing if anything new. It's really quiet right now. Um, 11 seconds ago, a mobile command center and SWAT vehicles just rolled out. So let's pause and watch this little clip so we don't miss anything on NewsNation. Let's watch this.
Now, we noticed potentially significant vehicle movement here. It happened while I was talking to the sheriff. I asked him about that too. Here it is.
Your mobile command center just rolled out. SWAT vehicle is not in its usual spot. Okay. Are you about to detain someone else?
I know that they've got a lot of things going on out there, but I wouldn't, it would be very inappropriate for me to talk about those things. It's an officer safety issue, those kinds of things, right?
Now, the last time those vehicles moved, Brett, was when they detained a person for questioning just a few nights ago. That is the only other time in the 11 days or so that we have been here that we have seen those vehicles move. So it may be that they are on the move to detain someone else tonight, potentially a very significant development. Brett?
Okay, we'll follow it.
All right, so they're back live on NewsNation, so let's go back over to them.
Absolutely not true.
Untrue.
Because lead.
So Kurt
Sorry,
Dabb is
y'all. I forgot to.
all right,
tab.
back now with our panel with the breaking news coverage for the search of Nancy Guthrie, mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie. Jeffrey Halstead's the retired police chief at Fort Worth. Also, Kurt Dabb is a retired homicide detective with Pima County Sheriff's Department. Matt Murphy, former homicide prosecutor. Chief, I wanted to, first of all, get your reaction to the fact that the sheriff said it is absolutely untrue that there is any tension between the Pima County Sheriff's Department and the FBI. He even seemed to imply that if there were reports of tension, which we have gotten here at NewsNation, that they might be coming from Washington, D.C. and not Tucson, Arizona.
You know, I think it's pretty typical. You got to remember that, you know, it could be years until all of these leaders come back together to focus on one incredibly challenging mission. One thing is very clear. Some of that input came from people actually on the ground working the case. But I give the sheriff a lot of credit because he addressed it, he explained it, and he went on a position saying it's absolutely not true. What would have helped in this situation is more collaboration, more communication. That's what I specialize in. But having press conferences together, showing the teamwork and showing the teams out there that your leadership is side by side in this, that's absolutely critical.
Yeah. Detectives, we know that there were other cameras on Nancy Guthrie's property in the house or just outside the house. In fact, one of those cameras, the night she disappeared, detected some sort of motion, some sort of movement. The sheriff told me just a few moments ago on this show that, in fact, Google is working to recover video from those cameras as well, because we got that doorbell camera with the help of Google, and it was released to the public just 3 days ago.
Yes. I'm sorry. What was the question?
How long? I mean, that's going to be crucial. Why the delay, do you think? In you know, we got the doorbell camera video 3 days ago. How soon might it be before we get the rest of this video?
Well, Elizabeth, I'm hoping that it's really soon. One of the things that, you know, I've been waiting for is more video, more still images to be released. And I understand, and the Sheriff's Department understands, the technological expertise of the FBI in dealing with these type of things. I mean, good Lord, they track down terrorists in the middle of a jungle or a desert. So we know that they have the capability. It's just we have to wait until the end customer is able to provide that back to law enforcement. And sometimes that takes time, and it takes time with DNA as well.
Matt, we know that in the video that we do have that was released 3 days ago, and it's from the doorbell camera, we focused a lot on what we do see in that video. We see a man with a backpack and a gun. We don't see any vehicle, at least in that shot, and he undoubtedly had one. We also don't see anyone else. And it is not easy to kidnap an elderly woman who weighs around 150 pounds and who can't move or walk easily.
No, it's not. And you exponentially increase your risk of getting caught if you do that, especially if she's screaming and alive. You know, and one of the big misleading things that on this case is a lot of people have assumed that because her pacemaker disconnected with that Apple Watch at a certain time, that means her heart was still beating. That's not the case. The sheriff asked you, Elizabeth, why would we assume anything else? I can give him about 20 reasons why trained investigators might believe that woman was dead when she walked out, or when he took her out of the house. So, and I pray to God I'm wrong. I pray to God that's not the case. But look, as the detective just correctly pointed out, very correctly, the FBI has resources available to them that local law enforcement doesn't. They can do what are called administrative drop warrants that are world-changing in an investigation when somebody is missing. Mm-hmm. And when you have an elderly woman, assuming that she's missing and still alive, you like the difference between 2 or 3 days when they brought the FBI in can mean the difference between life or death. And when you have an abduction, they're very, very good at that. I can understand some delay, but there was an extended delay here that hasn't really been answered.
The sheriff just said it was the next day, that it was that they called them in the very next day. That's what he just said in that interview.
Okay, well, all right. Well, one of the questions I have, Elizabeth, on this whole thing is when you have an all hands on deck situation like this clearly is, and I've worked other abduction cases. In fact, I worked a very high profile case with Pima County. And I can tell you the police we dealt with on that case were top notch. They were excellent. But the question is, where's the DA in all this? Because when you have a vertical prosecutor, when you have a lawyer that is going to be responsible for the case, that is assisting to the greatest degree they can really help influence an investigation to make sure that warrants are properly served, that we don't see things like people getting hooked up like the other night and then just released. That's the kind of stuff that can screw up a case. Where is the DA? This is a state case. It's not a federal case. This is going to be a state prosecution if they catch this guy. And I have yet to see, I believe her name is Laura Conover. I don't know her. Again, I don't know anything other than
Chief,
that one case.
You're both Arizonans or have worked in that jurisdiction. Detective, what do you make of that? Should we be seeing the DA at this point?
Well, I've investigated a number of homicides in my 7 years when I was working for the
And we don't know that this is a
sheriff's.
homicide. I want to be clear. We don't
Correct.
know that that's what this is, but it could be a
Correct.
possibility.
But all of the leverage that the homicide unit brings is in play here. And when we would investigate homicides, the prosecuting attorney would come out to the scene. But because this is still a kidnapping, the prosecutor probably is not going to go out to the scene, but they do come out to our scenes. The prosecutor here in Pima County, she's not really well liked, but I'm hoping that the Sheriff's Department and the FBI are keeping them abreast of what's going on. They're down there every day, I'm sure, serving search warrants or applying for search warrants. So
Right.
I'm hoping they're abreast.
Chief, what do you make of the fact that the sheriff told me in this interview tonight that they have gotten 18,000 tips on top of the 15,000 that the FBI has gotten? That's a lot of incoming information to sift through.
Yeah, you're right. To bring up what Matt and Kurt was just talking about, extreme collaboration is absolutely key in this. And that relates back to all of these tips. So these tips are actually going to be filtered. There's literally a mini task force of an operational assessment of evaluating the quality and really the relevancy of a lot of these tips. You cannot waste time on weak tips. They take the strongest, put them at the top. Collaboration is key. We do that as a company. We bring in county attorneys, prosecutors, and others so everyone is instantly sharing information. And Matt's right. That's absolutely critical. And I'm sure it's going on, but it needs to be more transparent.
All right, Matt Murphy, Chief Jeffrey Halstead, Detective Kurt Debb, thank you all so much for your expertise. Really, really appreciate it. All right,
Thank you.
coming up
God
for
bless.
us, we will continue to follow this breaking news in Arizona where SWAT teams have
Allergic reactions. To revoke.
Okay, I thought I'd pop on right now. Brian has not updated in a while. JLR is still driving around a neighborhood, it looks like. But thanks to the mods for holding it down in here. I have no problem banning people that are going to come in here and say vile things about an elderly woman. Just bottom line. I don't like banning people. I'm all for people expressing their opinions within reason and respect. But if you're going to make vile comments about an elderly woman, I don't want you part of this chat. I don't want you click. In other news, the COE just told me, and I'm flipping out, y'all, I am less than 8,000 away from 100,000 subs. And that's awesome. I am blown away. So thank you guys so much. I love what I do. So in my WebEx, there's a lot of scanner activity, but it's hard to hear. They're monitoring that, but we still won't give away any sensitive information here. Yeah, I mean, look at Elizabeth Smart. She was found alive, and it seemed like all hope was lost. So, you got to have hope in these situations. And I think that's why we're all still so hooked on this and invested is there is that possibility. So keep hope until they tell us there is none. Yeah, I'm really cool. Yeah, so let's just hope. You have to imagine what her family's going through right now. It's just, I mean, I keep saying that, but it's got to be so surreal. It's hard to put ourselves in their shoes, and hopefully none of us ever have to walk a second in their shoes. But the back and forth and I just always say, no matter the outcome, whether she's found alive or worst case scenario, none of them are ever going to be the same a day in their life. They will always hold on to this trauma. And it's very real, and it happens to all the families. Here we go.
Coverage in Tucson, Arizona, where the search is still on for 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie. The Pima County Sheriff's SWAT team is currently activated and staging. NewsNation's Brian Enton is live for us now, tracking the activity. Brian, what have you been seeing? I know you're in a car because we don't want to reveal where you are and tip anybody off to the location of these SWAT teams.
Yeah, we're trying to be careful and responsible, Elizabeth. When I say staging, what I mean, and we've seen them do this other nights, they leave the sheriff's office and they all meet in one location to get ready just in case they get the call that they are needed to go out and whether it be serve a warrant, whatever it may be, but they are doing that again tonight. And they haven't done that every night. They did it the night that they remember with Carlos, near the border where they detained the guy and then they let him go. They did the same thing that night. So we don't know if this means that there's going to be activity tonight. We don't know if this means that they've got a lead, but we know that they are staging and they're getting ready tonight, Elizabeth.
And how big is the team, very quickly, Brian? Like, what are we talking about?
So it's pretty big. Yeah, I mean, it's dozens of people, and they've got all the armor that you can imagine in the SWAT vehicles like you've seen before. And I've also confirmed, although they're not where I am right now, but the FBI hostage rescue team is also in Tucson, which is a big deal. It's one of the most elite units within the FBI. So they are also here and ready if they get the call. And we're just going to have to see what tonight brings.
When did they arrive?
The hostage rescue team arrived. It's been 3 or 4 days now.
Okay.
And they haven't been called out to any of the scenes that I've been to yet, but I did confirm that they are here. They are in Tucson and they're ready to go.
All right, Brian Enton reporting live in Tucson. Thank you so much. Coming up for us, we will have much more on the search. Chris Cuomo joins me live next to discuss.
All right, so we will wait and see. Let's take a look at X. JLR still in a neighborhood. Looks like just regular, normal neighborhood traffic going through. Not much. Yeah, kind of quiet there. Love Jesse Weber. He's such a nice guy. Like, literally one of the nicest guys you'll meet. I'm glad y'all found me too. Thank you so much, Tornado Annie. Yeah, so could be a night. Yeah, Jesse's got the do, man. I'm telling you, and it's just perfect. I'm jealous of his hair. It's all shiny and not gray like mine underneath this color. If I didn't color my hair, I'd be all gray, y'all. Like, completely gray. And I wasn't going to color it. I was like, I'm just going to go gray. And Grammy, like 2 or 3 years ago, she said, oh, honey, it's just time. She said, don't look older than you have to. So I did it. Yeah. Funny. Without giving too much away about without giving anything away about where they are. Let me check my WebEx. I'm just talking to them in there for a second. And then I'm going to check, when we go back from commercial, I'm going to check the air traffic and just see if there's anything up in the air. There's a lot coming into Tucson. I really don't see. There's some choppers near Fort Bliss, but that makes absolute sense, right? Big thanks to the COE. I love me some Joel and COE. I love collaborating with them. They're just good people, and I'm probably going to hop on Surviving the Survive. I'll be on there next week, actually. I think we're talking Corey Richards. And then when I'm out in Park City for Corey Richards, I'm going to probably go out not the first week. I think I'm going to go out the second week because I'm going to need to be here to get my daughter ready for this pageant. Lord have mercy, help me, y'all. I'm a tomboy, don't know how to do this, but I'm going to make sure she's got everything she needs. Yes, son.
Say hey to everybody.
Hey, everybody. Is this like the fireman group chat? All right. What's up, guys? I thought you were in there on your game laughing. My son is live with all his little I don't want to say little, his firefighter buddies that are all amazing. What a group, y'all. I tell you what, man, you go to a fire station and you finally understand that brotherhood. It's like he's gained a ton of big brothers. He was raised with 2 sisters, so he's finally getting the, hey, come see me, Diet Coke addict. Grab some coffee. Oh, Janice said, hi, Mason. I'm going to Park City. Our little den for Corey Richards is probably going to be that second week of testimony. I just can't make it out the first week. I would like to, but I just have, mom stuff to do, and I'm cool with that. Family first. Take care of my youngin'. This is my youngest. She's 14. She's a freshman in high school, so I'm soaking it up because here we go. We're back live. Let's unmute.
Not match anybody in the Guthrie family or anybody who worked or visited the property. Also, he said the FBI is currently trying to recover video from other Nest security cameras inside the Guthrie home, and that they have gotten 18,000 tips on top of the 13,000 the FBI has gotten. Chris Cuomo joins me now. He's going to take over the coverage. That's a lot of information for them to sift through.
It's a lot of information, and yet it's not enough. I'm being told that the SWAT staging is a just in case. They do it as a standby.
Right.
So it means that they have a reason to be on standby, but it doesn't mean that they have a reason to be active.
Right.
So we'll take it as it comes. This is already, this happens sometimes. Most abductions get solved within hours or days. And the statistic that people become very familiar with is if you don't hear when a child is taken within 24 to 48 hours, the chance that it is a kidnapping and homicide goes up exponentially.
Yeah.
Okay. But we don't know that we have an analog here when it's an elderly person because it's a different psychopathy.
Yeah,
Okay. It's a different mindset. So we don't know what this is. So the normal rules don't apply. And I saw your interview with the sheriff. I mean, he's doing what he can, but let me unpack what's going on for people, and let's see if we get a break on our watch. That would be great.
All right, Chris.
Elizabeth, well done and appreciated. I'll take it from you. Chris Cuomo, welcome to News Nation. Friday the 13th has brought 2 major potentially positive developments in the Nancy Guthrie case. There is a potential new communication and a DNA discovery. The note is getting the attention. I think the DNA may be more promising. I'll explain. The note came once more to TMZ. This time, though, reportedly, and we'll see, TMZ is going to be on with us in a second, that this note is not from someone claiming to be involved, as I understand it, but from someone who claims to know someone involved in the kidnapping of the 84-year-old. Okay, so what does that mean? We'll see. We'll talk to Harvey Levin about it, and we'll see what it means. But we have a much more direct potential connect with the DNA. Why? Police are saying it doesn't belong to Nancy. Police are saying it doesn't belong to any Guthrie family member. Now, I am told Nancy was known to have people over, but not that many that often. So what does that tell you? If it's not her family, you have a better probability that this could be the person who came in the house to get her. And remember, DNA science is advanced. They have 2 ways to ID someone. The national, state, and local index systems, which are known as CODIS, right? That's if you're in there and you're a match, boom. But they also have the new technology of genealogy testing, meaning they can match this DNA they found to any online sample from any of the ancestry or lineage sites of a relative. You see what I'm saying? They can actually draw a circle around, get somebody, does this person have any family there? Contact them. There's a lot of avenues of opportunity. News Nation's Brian Enton is on the scene following a SWAT team that is on the move about half an hour from Tucson. Brian.
Yeah, hey, Chris, we're being careful. And what you said, Elizabeth, is absolutely right. We don't know if this is anything. I've seen them stage other nights before, and this is what they do. They all get together, they leave the sheriff's office, and they stage in a certain location just in case they get the call that they are needed. Now, they haven't done this every night. They've done this a couple of nights. So it could mean that we're going to see some action tonight. They did it the night that we saw the guy get detained near the Mexico border. So we are just waiting to see how this plays out. What you said about the development with the DNA is big because it means that they have DNA from inside the house that's not connected to Nancy and is not Nancy. Right. And it's possible that could be a huge break. I mean, that could be the second biggest break we've seen after, I think, the surveillance photos that came out a couple days ago.
And Brian, excuse my voice, I'm just dying of a cold. When you're watching the movements, how does it occur to you? Who do they have that they're dispatching on standby?
So they've got the SWAT team on standby, the Pima County SWAT team, which is a pretty big unit, and they've got their big SWAT trucks, and they've got their gear, and they've got and K9. They've been called out. I confirmed that, and I think I told you this the other night, that the hostage rescue team, the FBI's HRT, is in Tucson, also ready to go, although they are not part of this group that is staging tonight. They also were not part of the group that staged the other night when they detained the man near the border. So, but they are here in Tucson.
That's important, and it's good for you to be respectful. I'll be coming back to you, especially if I can't talk. But I appreciate you being on the scene. Let me know if you have any developments. Tell me or Dusty, we'll come back to you. All right. So let me take you through the timeline of how we got here, because it's important to see the kind of ebb and flow on this one. Again, I've never seen a case like this. It's unusual for a number of reasons. And I don't believe one of those reasons is because of investigative Mr. Malfeasance. I'll talk to some experts about that later in the show, but let's deal with the developments. Saturday, January 31, Nancy Guthrie goes to dinner, gets dropped off by her son-in-law, is supposed to go to church the next morning. 1:47 a.m. that night, her doorbell camera gets disconnected. 11:46 a.m., Nancy doesn't show up for church. People call. Family calls. Reports are missing. 20 minutes later, local sheriffs come, no Nancy, but they do find blood on the front porch. Now, what is the blood spatter?
Just want to say real quick, we might actually witness Chris Cuomo lose his lung live on TV.
Mean. If we show it again, if you can re-rack it and show it again, I'll get you something that a phlebotomist told me today, a blood forensic investigator. Re-rack that, and I'll explain something to people about this. Okay, you see the drops? The drops mean two things, and that's spatter. You see the spatter and then the drops. Okay, this is what I'm told by this guy, and this is like a 50-50, okay? One thing that seems pretty certain, and I haven't heard anybody disagree with this, is that it's not an active major wound, okay? There's no arterial pumping going on. Good, thank God. The drops could be anything from a nosebleed that is related to an ongoing medical condition, or it could be a contact injury. The spatter was a point of confusion for these people because it looked like it was more of a discharge, volume. They now believe it's not volume, that it was just several drops that wound up spraying on top of one another. So they thought maybe it may have indicated a delay, like she was being carried or she paused or something like that. That's the blood. February 3rd, 3 notes come. 1 to TMZ, 2 to 2 local news affiliates. Remember, local news affiliates getting notes like that usually shows an affinity play, meaning somebody's local. 2 deadlines. Demands for $6 million in Bitcoin. February 7, no more contact, no proof of life. That's very unusual, okay? Savannah Guthrie releases a video telling them she's willing to pay. No proof of life, doesn't matter, we'll pay. We don't know if those ransom notes were real or just a real bad person and a bad prank. There becomes speculation. Oh, Guthrie's video and her second video, they seem familiar from movies. Yeah, it's because the feds are giving them advice on how to say things that goes with their experience of what works. And often former FBI people do what? They consult on movies. That's why. There's nothing suspicious about it. You know, I mean, this is this conspiratorial BS thinking from social media. Then the authorities keep going back into the home, and they go into the family members' homes, and they have always been given a consent to search, okay? Tuesday, February 10, big break. FBI releases the doorbell cam video from the night Nancy was taken of a masked man armed with a gun, wearing gloves, trying to cover the camera. It's an odd contrast for investigators. Nonchalant, takes his time, doesn't seem to be in a rush, and yet seems to be completely incompetent. The way he's dressed may look sophisticated, but it's actually really thrown together and very identifiable. So not really a pro move. And looking for the branch, to block the camera is a rookie move, okay? And ideas about the investigation, the FBI did like miracle work here to find this through metadata and get this. This was an extraordinary discovery. And remember, up until this point, we didn't know for sure if Nancy Guthrie had been taken. There was still an open question. So thousands of tips pour in, okay? Then they seem to get a break. They get this Hispanic man. Now, the key was they detained. When they detain, that means they don't have probable cause for an arrest, okay? And sure enough, they wound up talking to this guy and releasing him, all right? Wednesday, TMZ says they received an email from somebody saying they know who the kidnapper is and would tell them if they deposited 1 Bitcoin, which is about 67 grand right now, and drop it into their account. Also Wednesday, after an extensive search in the Catalina foothills, authorities find a black glove that looks like what the guy had on. It's about 1.5 miles from Nancy's home. Yesterday, authorities released video of a man with a similar backpack scaling a wall. Remember this? They find him, again, a good piece of police work. Somebody calls in a tip. We got to remember the power of people. They're so instrumental in these investigations. But this wound up not being a guy who's related, or so the authorities say. That brings us to today. TMZ gets a third email from a man who claims he knows the identity of Nancy Guthrie's kidnapper. So it's not him. He's not involved, but he says he knows. This is a different suggestion than earlier notes, okay, which were purportedly from someone involved. Let's bring in the man of the moment, TMZ founder Harvey Levin. Once again, a hub of understanding. Help me understand what I just told people about the sequence of what you've gotten and any distinctions you see among them.
Well, I'm focused on 2 things. Because I agree with you. I mean, he's from the Tucson area. There's just no doubt. I am focused on 2 things. This ransom note is, I will put it to you this way, Chris. The FBI is keenly interested in this ransom note, and I know this. Keenly interested in it. So the question then is, you're right. How does he, they're not really showing proof of life as far as we know. And the money has not been deposited. So why is it being ignored if they seem to be acting as if this is real? I can't answer that question. I am perplexed by it. But when you take that ransom note, which I believe the FBI has good reason to think it may well be real, then you look at these other emails we've been receiving, 3 of them this week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, from a man who says he knows who this kidnapper is. We got our
Wait, Harvey, help me understand something. The ransom note is separate. You don't believe it's from the same guy. Then you get 3 emails. You think those 3 are from the same guy.
I know the ransom note stands on its own. Separately, we have received 3 emails from the same person. And I know that because in each of those 3, there is a very specific Bitcoin address that we've been checking. So these 3 are coming from the same person. Wednesday, the person wanted $50,000 in return for the name of the kidnapper. Said it's going to be his last contact. Yesterday, he made a similar demand, got a little more specific. At about noon today, Pacific time, we got a third, and the third is interesting. And I will tell you, the FBI is interested in this. I know that. And we've given it to them. So the ransom has now gone up to $100,000, and it's gone up because this person knows that the FBI has doubled the reward. The person begins by saying, look, to the FBI, I don't trust you and you don't trust me. So I'm going to go through TMZ because I don't really trust you at all. So he wants the $100,000, but he wants it his way. And the way he wants it is he wants a fraction of a Bitcoin worth $50,000 immediately deposited in his account. And in return, he says he will, and this is a quote, he will immediately provide the name of the main individual along with his information for you to track. So I guess we can stop and talk about what does he mean by main individual, because by definition, he's suggesting more than one person is involved. That's the first time he's said something like this in any of the three notes that we've received. The second, then he goes on to say that he will not touch that initial $50,000 payment until an arrest is made. And once there is an arrest, he would expect the FBI in good faith to deposit the additional $50,000 in Bitcoin. He says, and I think this is interesting, he is gambling both for his safety and his possible freedom. When you say possible freedom, it's almost as if he's saying, I'm kind of close to the flame and maybe they're going to try and implicate me. At least that's the way I read it. And then the last thing he says, and I'll actually read from the note, he says that the manhunt of the main individual that can give you all the answers, be prepared to go international. To me, that can only mean Mexico. So again, I am not telling you, Chris, that this is authentic, that this is actually a person who knows the identity and location of the kidnapper, but he has been persistent. He definitely has the attention of the FBI, and this is the latest what we got.
How crazy is it, Harvey, that while they can pull that video out of the metadata bin from some back alley of Google, you cannot find this guy. They can hide their emails. You know, in the old days, it used to be the ISP. They'd get the number, they'd go back to that desktop, and they were going to figure out who was using it. Now, they really can't find you. And crypto adds another layer of really, I mean, you put money in that account, you don't know who has the wallet. It's one of one. You know what I mean? There are no routing numbers. You know, there's no physical inventory anywhere. It's not like you can call a bank and say this guy works through you. It's really vexing.
I am so perplexed by this because it feels like, because, you know, I was in my 20s, it feels like the Zodiac Killer case where they just couldn't find any clue, and the guy was flirting with the media. And I thought we're now in a time where you can't hide from anything, that there are cameras everywhere. There are ways to track people. There is DNA. And, you know, it's funny because I was thinking this is like the bonanza for Dateline because there's so much evidence you can collect and create a show over because they're able to amass all of that. And yet, this feels like a throwback 40 years ago. I feel exactly the same way.
Technology works two ways. Now, I was saying when I came to you, you know, it's a sword and a shield. When that the guy looks to the layman like, oh boy, this guy really looks like he's dressed the part. But it's very identifiable clothing. I mean, even the jacket is drawing some attention, right?
So we have been spending the day looking for the type of jacket. We were able to identify the backpack pretty quickly. So we've been spending time on the jacket. So initially we thought it was an Aero Hex windbreaker, but we kept digging. We believe now that this is it's called an Athletic Works Fusion knit jacket. What is interesting about this is it's sold at Walmart. That backpack was also sold at Walmart. It has the same black horizontal stripe as the one that the kidnapper is wearing, same type of zip for the material matches, the pockets match. So we have not confirmed this with law enforcement. I'm just telling you what we've done here all day. But it really looks like this Athletic Works Fusion knit jacket sells for $27 at Walmart. And the backpack was super inexpensive as well. But it's interesting the two of those items purchased at the same place.
You know, one other thing, Harvey, and I appreciate you. And, you know, I'm happy for you that TMZ is being used as a hub this way, and that you're being as responsible as you are with it. I think that's you're doing a service to the investigation and, frankly, to the media. How do you reconcile this guy acting like an ass clown, but also being so casual and not in a rush and doesn't seem nervous as he's doing something that should absolutely worry him? And yet he doesn't really seem to have a plan when he is there messing around on the porch. It is a very odd combination.
Yeah, I mean, look, I am puzzled by a lot here because, you know, if that ransom note is real, this is a smart, methodical man who is plotted this and really thought it through. When you read this ransom note, the person I'm seeing seems bumbling to me. See, I don't even see him as casual. I see him as bumbling, that the guy walks up to a door, not realizing that a lot of people have these cameras on their door. And he seems surprised. And he walks back, stoops down, grabs some bushes to try and shield the camera lens. That felt bumbling to me. And it doesn't align with a smart, tech-savvy type person, although he is covered from head to toe. So I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Harvey, you are the man of the moment. Thank you very much for helping us understand this. Look, hopefully it's all connected. Hopefully it leads somewhere. And I appreciate the conversation. We'll speak again. Have a good weekend.
Okay, so I'm gonna keep this on the background if Brian hops on, but it's kind of just rehashing things we've already seen, and I don't want to use their feed, the whole feed. And if nothing really breaks here soon, I might end the live, to be honest. And if something crazy does come up, we will go back to it and do another live, but I'm not seeing any updates from the usual suspects. I am looking at JLR's feed. He's just sitting in a neighborhood, nothing going on. So let me check in with WebEx, my people, and see if they have heard anything yet. But as you can see, it's kind of quiet on here. You know, staging doesn't mean they're about to go do a raid, but let's see. Let's pull up flight radar. Anything happening? Not any kind of a law enforcement helicopter. Let me see what my people on WebEx say. Watching, nothing yet. Yeah, it's pretty quiet now. You never know. Could have been totally unrelated, but Pima County Sheriff 41 minutes ago put out, we've received complaints about media parking. Staged vehicles on the narrow roadway are blocking residents, emergency vehicles, utilities, school buses, and trash trucks. Violations are subject to enforcement. Please position vehicles responsibly and minimize disruption. I get that. If you have an emergency down that road, you don't want to delay somebody getting help. Here, we'll share this. You guys want to know my vibe, is me right here. That's how I'm feeling right now. So we'll stay on a few more minutes and just see if anything breaks. If not, I'm gonna go play my game because it's gotten kind of quiet. But it's a good reminder to make sure you're subscribed. And if you want notifications of when I go live, you click that little bell icon and it'll pull me up and it'll put a little alert to let you know I am live. But yeah, I'm just not seeing much right now, y'all. I mean, look, they may back off because there's so much attention on this right now. I wouldn't think if they had something really viable, they would not go in, but everything I'm seeing, it seems really quiet. Oh, thank you, COE. I appreciate it. Yeah, or Surviving the Survivor. I don't know if that's Joel or yeah, COE. Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking everywhere and nobody's updating. I'm gonna keep an eye on YouTube TV to see if Brian comes back on. Trying to think what we could do. You know, it gets kind of hard when you're following it in real time and it just gets quiet all of a sudden. Maybe quiet's a good thing, you know? But safety first for the officers and everything. So let's see. You know, it's been raining today in Tucson as well. The first time, I think, in 2 weeks since they've been out there. I think Brian posted it was the first time. It's tough though. You know, you look at how long, you know, some of these reporters have been out there away from family. I know when I was in Boise for Lori Daybell for 6 weeks, I flew home every weekend. Whoa, I just hit 92,000. That is insanity. Oh my goodness, y'all. Let's see, 92,075. Yeah. That's crazy. Right now there is an ad for Alien Power on NewsNation. Y'all, Chris needs him and Harvey both need like some vitamin C and some nappy time. They both, I mean, those two together, they were just looking rough. Bless their hearts. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, they're looking at flights, don't see anything. Let's see. Let's go back to Tucson. If I see Brian hop on, I'll go back to him. But yeah, you know, not law enforcement, and that's actually not super close to where we're looking. So there is I'm gonna switch over. Well, so they're showing just an overhead. I'm gonna show you without the audio. They're just showing outside of Nancy's house right now. I assume that's the officer that's posted there for security. Lots of media still there. Okay, hang on just a second. Let me look something up real quick, y'all. Got a message that's interesting. Dun dun dun. I'm just excited I get to sleep in the morning, which means sleep till 7. I'm just, as I've gotten older, I can't really can't sleep late. I don't know. When I was a teenager, like I'd sleep till 3 o'clock. My cats think all this activity is really exciting. I have to say my dogs are they're gone to Sleepy Town. Welcome aboard, LFM. Good to have you. Welcome aboard the crazy train. I am your captain. And I left my chicken pot pie in the microwave. Forgot about it. I'm gonna have to reheat it. I'm just not ordering DoorDash. I don't want to pay $50 for a sub. I'll eat some daggone Fruit Loops for I'll do that. Smoocher, I wish I could sleep in. Yeah, they're just talking about that third email that TMZ got. It's weird. Yeah, but I don't know. I just don't think there's any validity to this. They were just okay, so SWAT is staging but they're staging, so this isn't anything new than what we've heard. Sleep, what's that? I hear you. The last 2 weeks have just you DoorDash Burger King and it was $53. I know. It's like by the time you have like taxes and delivery fees and all that. My son has the DoorDash whatever where you don't pay delivery fees. And I mean, I always make sure anybody who does something like that gets tipped well because they're out there hustling. I used to do a little side gig delivering Amazon packages, and It's a lot of wear and tear on your car, and you're always getting flat tires and stuff. It's tough. Um, I'm just reading some of the comments here. Yeah, love always truth. That's just my biggest question is why are you picking out an elderly woman? My theory is who we saw at the front door is not the mastermind behind this. I have no clue who the mastermind is, just as much as y'all don't. That is somebody who was probably, my opinion, my theory, my speculation, allegedly. Let's just say that to cover myself. Is that this person probably was like told, "Hey, I'll give you 30,000 bucks. You go in and grab this woman for me." Because when he went to bang on that door and what I assume would be a little alert light, like that comes on your ring cam to let the people know it's detected you, he froze. And then he kind of aimlessly wanders to the left looking for anything. It's just all rock. There's nothing there. And then he goes and picks up a plant. And then you can see him through the plant. It's just, you see where this is not somebody who has thought of everything. Or why didn't you just rip the doorbell off at that point? So I kind of feel like this is definitely a 2-person minimum thing. And that guy was just sort of somebody you pay to go do your dirty work. Yeah, and I mean, and Gabby Petito's family has spoken out about this, especially talking about what the family is likely going through. They lived this nightmare, and it's a different kind of nightmare, but it's a daughter versus your mother and your grandmother, but there's no comparison. It's still somebody's missing, somebody who did nothing wrong. And I just can't imagine anything more torturous other than somebody killing somebody I love is to have them missing, because you're always gonna wonder, are they suffering? Are they alive? Are they okay? I mean, it's just a nightmare. And then it's, I can't say anything about it because I've covered this heavily for a couple of weeks, but also, the world's watching. And not only that, but you have people out there saying really foul things about your loved one who is missing. And hopefully the family's just staying off the internet. I mean, that's the best thing. When I've talked to people who are involved in stuff like this as it's happening, or, people that are murdered, I just say, look, if I stay off the internet, because as tragic as your situation is, there's always going to be people that have no class and no tact. And you can take that into account, but reading that is going to hurt you about your loved one, no matter who they are, what their profile picture looks like. I always just tell people, stay off the internet. You take care of your mental health and just focus on your family. But at the same time, they want to see what's going on out there. I get it. But yeah. You think about it too. This woman's lived 84 years and then this happens. And you think about a kid walking to school and they get abducted or whatever, just doing their normal thing, it's a good reminder to focus. For me personally, it's a really good reminder to dedicate time each week to focusing on a missing person, on some episodes, because a lot's been said about the coverage this has gotten, and it's just the way the world works. I mean, her daughter is famous, and I personally wish we could have this kind of coverage for every single missing person out there. But we can use our platforms together to put awareness out, even if it's retweeting a missing person. But I would like to dedicate some time, most likely after the Corey Richards trial, to just figuring out a format where we can highlight missing persons and tell their stories. And because everybody deserves the press. The reality is there's so many missing people in this country. You could have 10 stations 24/7 covering missing persons, and we wouldn't even scratch the surface. And that is what is horrible. These videos, of this person at the door just flip me out, y'all. it's just so sad. So let's double check X one more time, and then I kind of feel like I don't have much more to say right now because nothing's happening. I can tell you JLR is still sitting in the same spot. It doesn't look like anything's happening where he's at. Not sure where Brian is. I'm keeping an eye to see if they bring Brian back on. I'd like to get an update from him and see. I hope Chris got some water during that break. That dude was on the struggle bus. Him and Harvey both, man. I mean, I'm sitting here watching a replay of Harvey. He's tired. And then, people give Harvey flack, but what's been put in their lap in these emails is, I'm sure it's stressful and you feel a certain responsibility for receiving these and stuff. But, oh, thank you so much, Nana KC. So essentially, well, I don't know about the Clintons, but the one thing that they have said is that nobody has been ruled out. So, but they did say the DNA found in the house was not from her family or people that were in close contact with her. So we do have this activity tonight with SWAT staging. We don't know if it's related. That's totally unconfirmed and a speculation. But, the fact that they do have some foreign DNA that is being tested, and we heard earlier, they can get those results back in as little as 12 hours. So the first thing they'll do is probably run it through the national database to see if there's a match. Somebody who is a known felon that had to give their DNA, or for whatever reason you would give your DNA. And if there's no match there, just like with the Koberger case, I see them going the ancestry route. And if you have a distant cousin who did this and you share DNA, you're going to come up. When I did my ancestry account, y'all, I had like 8,000 relatives out there. And it's crazy all over the world, but somewhere along time, we our family members, like we had a connection through an ancestor. And so with DNA and these registries, and I know that they're limited to which ones they can use, but they're going to catch this person. It's not an if, it's a when. It's just the ultimate question, is Nancy going to be okay? That's just kind of where we're at. You check my updates. Okay. So just looking at some air traffic. Not sure. My dog is literally growling and barking in her sleep, and it's so cute. It's just a little boof. Just a little boof. So I'm just going to refresh here and see if we see anything. If not, I'm probably going to hop off here. And if anything breaks, I will be back. I've got all my alerts set. COE's in the car. She's listening. She's going to hook me up if she hears anything. I'll have my iPad in there while I'm in the Fallout Wasteland, shooting a bunch of mutants and zombies. And I like to build my camp. It's just very therapeutic. I'm building a fake house that I will never set foot in, but it's just one of those mind things that gets my mind off of real life for a minute. So I'm not seeing any updates from anybody. So I think what we'll do, y'all, is we'll end it here. I don't want to stay on here. Thank you so much. I think that was it Lisa? Liz Harp. Appreciate you so much. Thank you for your support. But yeah, so I'll keep watching everything. If anything new comes up, I'm going to go ahead and create a live just so if we get breaking news, I can hop right back on. But there's other people streaming, if you want to get like a bird's eye view and all that jazz, but I don't want to keep y'all's time. So thank y'all for hanging out with me. Again, if anything breaks, I will definitely hop back on and we'll do part 2. Let's just refresh one more time. I'm going to hop on my WebEx and talk to my crew and my buddies and see what they're getting into in there. And it's really fun to collaborate that way. It's very new to me, but I am working on a new format. So I'm really excited. Hoping to get my stream looking a little more professional and not just like slapping up stuff like this. So I'm going to be working on that this weekend and maybe make it look a lot cooler and more relevant, where we can have several things on the screen without it being too crazy. So I try to think about what I like to see, which is not too much activity on screen, but things where you don't have to focus on one thing if you don't want. So, all right, guys, we're going to break it from here. I will update. I will. Yeah. Okay. I will update if we go live again. Just watch my socials, subscribe, hit the bell icon if you're not on socials or not going to be on there. And that way you'll get a little alert to my phone. And, so I'm just going to show you guys one more time. This is going to be me right here, walking away from my computer. Let's see. Look. That's going to be going to the wasteland, y'all. All right. I'm going to go chill and have some me time. We'll see y'all soon.